Hey, it's been some inclement weather over here, and dealing with power outages and Wi-Fi outages. Man, how you doing today?
Doing good. You just went out on my side again, so I probably went out on yours. The inclement weather just started. I've been ripping and running all day, like you, running errands.
Mm-hmm.
Had to take my daughter to work. Um, had to go to one of my many jobs. My family from the Barbados, but I work like a Jamaican, so I went like to one of my jobs and broke bread with one of my bosses today.
Okay.
Things.
Well, shoot, hold on. I'm trying to get logged in over here so I can make sure that we get these polls and everything up as well. Shout out to everybody coming in the room early. Yes. People said about time. Yeah, we got a lot to discuss today, man. A lot of music came out. Well, I don't want to say a lot of music came out today. Did you check out the Benny?
I did.
What you think about it? Because we can go straight
I like.
into it since we're a little bit late.
I
It,
mean, I enjoyed the record. I mean, it was kind of what I expected. Isn't it
it,
what you expected?
it was cool. I thought you would
Yeah.
tell. I mean, because Premier did the track, and
Right.
so I don't know, man. Maybe based on the title, I was expecting like a CeeLo sample or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting to. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. I think Benny got off on it. You know what I'm saying? Benny's doing his thing on records right now.
No, but Benny sounds great. It actually made me think briefly, like, where would you like where would we place Benny like this year right now? Because I think he's having a really good year.
I think he's having a decent year too. I think his album's up there,
It's
but
got good legs. It's got good legs. It doesn't have great legs, but it's got good legs.
yeah.
I think it's holding up fairly well. Yeah.
Did I pause on your end?
I mean, you didn't pause on my end. I just can't see you.
Ah,
Like
see,
right now,
that's a
you can't see you.
problem. See, we're going through these issues real quick. Hold on. I think people
But I mean, I just
let's get
pulled
it
us
right.
up on the YouTube page. I mean, everybody it appears can see us on YouTube, but you are frozen. Yeah, you're
Oh no,
frozen
no,
right
I'm
there.
back now. I should
Okay,
be
yeah, I
back
can see
now.
you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me get this up. But yeah, I think that the album was good. And it's got good legs, like you said, not great legs. It's not one of those things where people are like, oh yeah, this was the album of the year, yada yada. I'm still actually hearing from a lot of people they think Pusha T's album should get that consideration.
They're still wrong.
Think so?
Yeah,
All right, let's do this.
okay.
Between Pusha
Well,
T and Benny, who's having the better year? Between just those two.
I mean, a lot of Push's fanfare for this album was last year,
Yeah?
right? What did you
Yeah.
say?
I would
I
say
think you're
so.
frozen again.
Oh my God. Sorry about this, guys, man. Let me try one more thing, right? Because I don't want to
Yeah,
go
we're
off
having
and
all
have to
kind of
go back on. But
issues.
keep talking. Keep talking. I'll fix it.
I would call the albums a draw, damn near, and I would call the years a draw, damn near. But what I would tell you is that there's no Johnny P's cat. Well, I think Johnny P's
Well,
caddy kind of like has rung more bells. You know what I mean? Like it's had more staying power, even if the songs haven't necessarily been better.
mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I like Benny's project just a little bit more, but even though I would rate them about the same, like they're both fours to me. So it's like really, really tough. I mean, obviously the rhetoric is similar. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I was thinking about putting two different well, the first poll I was actually going to put in the chat was Godson or Life is Good because we were talking about that earlier. But now I'm thinking I might want to put Tana Talk 4. I know I'm probably frozen again, but I'm gonna fix this. Tana Talk 4 and It's Almost Dry.
I mean, I think Tana Talk 4 is slightly better, but not enough to give it a different rating, if that makes sense. Like it's not good enough to make it a rating above It's Almost Dry, because It's Almost Dry still has Brambleton, Let the Smoker Shine the Coupe, Diet Coke. I think Neck and Wrist got played out, but it's still a dope record. I think we just overhyped, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Overhyped the record. It's still a
yeah.
dope record, actually. Just like on the value of what you want a dope record to be, like Neck and Wrist is a dope hip hop record. You know what I'm saying?
I think Neck and Wrist should have never been revealed to us earlier. I think that's the biggest issue with Neck and Wrist. I think that if we would have heard Neck and Wrist when the album actually came out, as opposed to what was that, 2-3 weeks before it came out,
Yeah.
the impact would have been much more vast. And you know, since we're hearing all this hype about people saying I'm good now, appreciate it, guys. Hopefully it stays good. And with this hype that we're hearing about this new Jay-Z verse on this DJ Khaled song, his verse has to be better than the Neck and Wrist verse, which wasn't a slouch.
Yeah.
I'd rather put, which one y'all want me to put in the poll, in the chat as far as a poll? Y'all want me to put the Life is Good and Godson, or do y'all want me to put the Tana Talk 4 and It's Almost Dry? Because I feel like if I put Tana Talk 4 and Almost Dry, Pusha T is going to run away with it.
You feel like who?
I think Pusha's going to run away with it, actually.
I don't necessarily think that's true. I think Tana Talk 4 has been getting a lot of good support from this clientele.
Okay.
And I'd rather just stay current and stay off the Nas topic. We always find ourselves on a current Nas topic, like the Life is Good Godson thing. It's like we can kind of pull that up on the back end of the show to close out, and we've got a little bit of time.
Okay, cool. Jay Short with the super chat says, think people are saying Pusha because they got a lot of AAA major albums dropping yet. I think people still uncomfortable about of giving album of the year to an underground artist. I don't know if Benny is specifically an underground artist, but I feel you. He's kind of emerging in a sense where Pusha is mainstream, and Pusha has done a lot of mainstream work. I'll put that poll. I'll put that poll in the chat real quick.
I mean, if you look at it, Pusha T has technically been a mainstream artist for a while. Like, he's been working with the Neptunes and Pharrell for a long time. He's been connected to Kanye for a long time. Like, it's not like we're on like year number 2 or 3 of him like getting down with these like megastar producers. Like, he's been, you know what? He's had a very Locks-like career with his material, where it's like, well, if you really like look at his stuff, it's everywhere. He can hit you with a little bit of everything. It's like he can hit you with the Can't Nobody Love You Justin Timberlake remix, and with Runaway from Pusha T. Mm-hmm. But he's got like Grinding, and he's got like Doorman. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He's got Let the Smoker Shine the Coops and Brambleton. You know what I mean? He's got Exodus and Infrared. You know what I'm saying? He's got a little bit of everything to hit you with.
Story of Adidon. He can hit you with that.
I just brought up Exodus and Infrared, not even to like go to that. That's what I'm saying. It's like he got other diss records that he could like go to. That's like, ugh.
Nas the Goat says Life is Good is better than Godson, and Tana Talks 4 is better than Pusha T's album. Okay.
The what happened to that boy verse.
Mm-hmm. You know what my verse is, man. I love the goddamn I won't say remix, but radio remix version.
Yeah.
But yeah. I guess that is the remix because they put it on the Neptune's album.
Yeah.
All right,
I always looked at it like the remix.
I know we were talking about Hit 'Em Up last episode or whatever, right? And shout out to everybody coming in the room. Sorry we had those technical difficulties. We straight now. We got everything in the chat. We got the polls in the chat. We got the yearbook, the digital yearbook in the chat. Should be able to see that, and our cameras and everything are working. So we're not going to be talking choppy. But anyway, we were talking about Hit 'Em Up last week, right? Or not last week, last episode, a couple days ago. Where do you think the story of Adidon is placed when it comes to all-time diss records? And do you hold the story of Adidon high? Because I know you're a Pusha T fan, but I never really hear you talk about that record.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up. Actually, as soon as you said that, I immediately thought to myself, well, I hold back higher because of the degree of difficulty and because of who the artist is not as a lyricist, as an MC. I look at Pusha T lyrically very comparably to the way that I look at Conway and Jadakiss. Mm-hmm. And so him doing the story of Adidon is not surprising to me. Him doing Infrared is not surprising to me. That's him meeting the expectations of what I think he is capable of doing, not exceeding.
He's crushing somebody he should have crushed.
Right. In the case of Drake with Back to Back, Oh, I have that ranked higher. Like I have Pusha T's beating Drake, but Pusha T doesn't have a back to back because of who Pusha T is and because of Drake who is not. If that makes
So
sense.
you got back to back ranked higher than the story of Adidon.
Technically, yes,
I
because
don't
I feel
know.
like the degree of difficulty is higher. Like who thought Drake was gonna do that?
I think that there is a degree of difficulty when you're going against the biggest artists in the game, right?
I'm talking about.
I think that the reaction from the story of Adidon, for me, is what makes me hold it higher and where the degree of difficulty lies. Because we've seen in many situations, right? Let's just say Joe Budden and Drake. Joe Budden torched Drake, but people act like it didn't happen. They act like Joe Budden didn't even come out with 4 records or whatever, right? Or like when you had all those responses to Kendrick's Control verse with like Papoose and people killing it like that, and it's like when an artist is so big, people could play it off and act like it never happened. But the fact that the story of Adidon took on the biggest artist in the game, who was coming out with an album, made him push his album back, made him hide from social media for a full month. I think that's a little bit extra than just putting out a diss record that gets traction. You know what I mean? Because on the flip side, even though back to back was a little bit unexpected, he got the support from the machine with that record too.
Granted,
Thumbs up in the
and
chat,
you
man. I don't know why we losing people. Maybe people's connection is off. I don't know.
and you're making very valid points. I will tell you. First of all, I mean, when I'd say I would have back to back higher, I would probably have both of them in my top 10, but they would both be in the back end of my top 10. Like one would be 8 or 9, and one would be like 8 or 10. You know what I mean? So I don't think either one of them really qualify as the greatest diss record ever. Like No Vaseline's better.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ether's better. The Takeover's better. Those are just the Bitch in You is better. Yeah, like those
The
four
degree of
diss records.
difficulty on the bitch in you is high. And we're gonna talk about
the
Common
level
today.
Okay, so that's probably the highest degree of difficulty we're talking. And as strange as it may seem, part of why I hold Ether so high isn't because it was Nas. It's actually because of who Jay was historically at the time.
And where Nas was at the time. It was unexpected too.
Where Nas was not at the time, I believe is what you need to say.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So all of those things matter.
Oh, and so the circumstances matter.
Yeah, the circumstances matter. And so watching Drake like just body Meek like that, oh no, the surprise of that was higher than what Pusha did, because that's what I'm saying. Well, Pusha had already done Exodus and Infrared. Like, he had already been taking shots on mixtapes and saying fly shit. You know what I mean? So it wasn't surprising for him to pull like a major card. It just happened to be a bigger card.
He was pulling cards.
And if you want to look at it, hold on. If you want to look at it on a musical record, on a musical level, like for a record, like Pusha had so many better records than the story of Adidon too. Back to Back is one of Drake's best records.
Well, okay, that's a matter of opinion. I'm sure a lot of Drake fans would disagree with that. But what I will say...
I'm sorry. It's one of his better rap songs, Mike.
The dig of Pusha finding Drake in blackface and making that the cover, like, that's historic hip-hop diss record stuff. Like, people thought when that cover came out that he, like, photoshopped that. Like, no, that's real.
So... here's what I would have to submit to you is that's probably why I have it ranked a little lower, because it's like the totality of it is better than the record, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I can't hold it higher than like the music. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're going to the blackface on the cover and like the totality of it, I get what you're saying.
But he addressed it in the music too.
How dope is the record? Because no Vaseline, oh, that's dope as fuck.
Oh, no, it's not better than No Vaseline. No.
You know, Drop a Gem on them is better.
Well, a lot of people, people are mentioning some great diss records in the chat too. I saw Corrupt calling out names. I love that. And that was during the time when DMX was running the world. And I had that album, right? That was on Streets as a Mother. It was at the end of the album. He kind of put it at the end, like Ice Cube put No Vaseline at the end of Death Certificate. So yeah, I think that's one of those sleeper diss records too. Like on a technical level, yes, there's a lot of songs and diss records that we can say are even better than Back to Back. Because I think as a song, Calling Out Names is better than Back to Back. But the impact you have to kind of consider too. You know what I mean? Calling Out Names
Yeah,
didn't have the impact that it should have, probably because he was going at two mega stars at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, and some of this is the power of the machine working in our own minds and training the way that we think. Because you're right, Drake had advantages in the machine because of who he is. But here's what I'll tell you: the record had to be there for it to get played like that.
As
The
a record,
still,
though, if we want to be real, though, as a record, in my personal opinion, I like Charged Up better than Back to Back.
Nobody agrees with you on that.
I mean,
It's not a good record.
Charged Up is fine because Charged Up is eerie. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's a setup record. It's kind of like when
you like. It's funny that I like the happy record and you like the dark record.
Yeah,
That's
it's
crazy.
like when it comes to diss records, I like more so the last real nigga alive type of records where it's like it's not. I'm not really, even though I think No Vaseline's probably the best diss record of all time. I like diss records that aren't so in your face all the time too. I like it where it's like it kind of builds. But see, Charged Up was not meant to exist alone. It was meant to have a follow up with it. And everybody's saying I'm tripping, but I like Charged Up. Go listen to it.
I told you you were tripping. Nobody agreed with you. I knew that was gonna happen. Definitely Ether, Take Over, No Vaseline, The Bitch in You, drop a gem on them.
Well, does Eminem have a top 10 diss record all time, you think?
Who?
Eminem. We're about to talk about him, and he's one of the guys that people always say nobody wants to battle with. Does he have a top 10 hip hop diss record all time?
Not even remotely.
I like The Sauce. But the only thing that's wrong with The Sauce is it's against Benzino. And I think that, when you weigh out the level of competition, I think that it's hard to rank it super high when Benzino's the competition. And I say that respectfully because Benzino's not known to be a rapper first. And the other diss record that I like from Eminem.
Hold on. Oh, God.
I like...
hold on.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
I like I
The Bridge
Remember
is
too.
Over.
The Bridge is Over, yeah.
Yeah. Bridge is Over is definitely better than both of these records, than all of these records.
People are saying Nail in the Coffin. I've always heard that, but I like The Sauce better than Nail in the Coffin. I always have. Maybe it's the beat. Maybe it's like, again, he's going through storytelling mode where it's like, growing up, you never, if you could spit, then you could spit. That's it. That's what it was. Back, he's telling the whole story of the Source magazine and how problematic that the ratings were and how biased the ratings were, and then he just goes into it. I've always thought that The Sauce was just a much better record than Nail in the Coffin. I think Nail in the Coffin's just, going at it or whatever and just saying little diss shit here and there, but The Sauce, The Sauce was a build-up, you know what I mean? Because it got to the point at the end where he was just frustrated all the way. And I also like those records where it's just one long verse, too. I like The Sauce.
Say, like the Beanie Siegel Kiss the Game Goodbye freestyle diss is better than both of those.
Well, I mean, he's going against Jadakiss, of course. You know what I'm saying?
It's different. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So like that degree of difficulty stuff and who the person is and
that
when
shit
it happens
matters.
kind of matters. Well, that's why Eminem doesn't really have one of those. It's because it's like, well, I mean, look at these other disses that we have and who they're up against.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No. 100%. You got somebody going up against Jay-Z. You got somebody going up against Jadakiss.
Tupac.
50 lost a lot, but 50 went up against some heavyweights. You know what I'm saying? You going up against Styles and Jada? Jeez. Yeah. KD with the super chat says, you don't like M, but Hail Mary was a classic diss. But that's just because it was jumping, not because of M. Well, see, my thing is...
Hold on. Didn't Busta Rhymes have the standout?
No,
verse on the
listen.
Hail Mary disc?
First of all, I don't even think that this registers. I think that
It does.
Back Down is the one that we remember from the Murder Inc. and 50 Cent thing. And honestly, that record was just a pile on that was unnecessary. It's really interesting now looking back on it how many people were ready and willing to just pile up on Ja Rule that really didn't have anything to do with anything. You know what I'm saying? Like this was between two guys.
It's very problematic.
Jason with the super chat says Joe Budden torched a lot of rappers: Ransom, G Unit, Prodigy, respectfully, Saigon, just to name a few. His diss tracks are crazy.
You watch your mouth.
KD with the super. Hey, it is what it is, right? KD with the super chat says.
I don't know how solid that is.
Y'all hear that reason?
He said ran through like there wasn't like no. Okay.
KD says, y'all hear that reason in Game? Game is really getting me excited for Drillmatic next week. Sheesh, he's in his bag. That's another person whose diss record game is heavy. And I don't think personally, he has one either. Huh?
I don't think he has one either.
I don't either, but I would say this. I think that 300 bars of running, I would have to put it over the sauce just because we're talking about G Unit versus Benzino.
Well, it's funny because, doing this game's greatest hits list and 300 bars and running is on the list.
Is it? Okay. Cool.
Wouldn't you find it to be one of his finer moments as an MC?
Oh, yeah, especially in that period. I think that it kind of helped get him to where it kind of helped get him to the point where he is now. Pest Control is crazy. Thank you, somebody in the chat. Pest Control is crazy. And once again, that's another diss record people act like didn't happen. And I know you like Back to Back or whatever. Pest Control is way better than Back to Back. I'm sorry. Like that
you know what? I'll give you that.
Pest Control is what we're giving Drake points because he's a singer. You know what I mean? It was a good record. It's a dope record. And it was unexpected. But if we putting these two records up against each other, Pest Control is way more vicious than Back to Back. Somebody said Kilo Ali versus Sammy Sam. Shout out to Atlanta in the building. I love that. I was going to go with Kilo versus Raheem the Dream. Cut them up. Jay Short with the super chat says DJ Quick, dollars and cents. Yeah.
I personally love the MC8 disc, dollars and cents. That's a personal favorite. Like that would probably be in Coop's like personal top 10. Like if I was doing like a personal top 10, I think dollars and cents would make it. I don't know. Dollars and Cents is almost like the West Coast drop a gem on them. It's like the great diss record nobody really talks about like they should.
Well, I mean, somebody in the chat said that Eminem struggled with MGK. I mean, I think that's putting it nicely. MGK won that one.
Struggling with a lot.
Now, I do like the other Eminem diss record I like was against Everlast. I Remember. I thought that was dope. Dante Smith with the super chat says, "What about the Game's Meek Mill diss on 1992? 92 bars? Yeah, man, Game gets on somebody and just won't let up. You know what? I personally like Pest Control more than I like 300 bars and running. I like them both. So
I think he's
a better rapper than Pest Control.
He's a better rapper, and it's a better song. But 300 bars and running is more of a timepiece and maybe more important to his career. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And he went at Siegel on Pest Control too. But again,
that wasn't a swat.
That's not the same Siegel. And we could say the same thing about. I'm gonna be fair. We could say the same thing about MGK and Eminem too. Because I don't think that same thing would have happened if he was going at 02 Eminem. So I'm gonna be fair. Actually, I'm going to be very fair to Eminem on this show somewhat because I actually listened to the greatest hits from 1 to 35, and I want to go through it. KD says, Pest Control had crazy bars. You were supposed to throw up the rock, not smoke it. Hilarious. Jesus, man. Pest Control was vicious, man.
Hey, you want to know what?
Pest Control is vicious.
We need to you want to know what? We need to do
we need a list.
Yeah, we need a list. We need a top
This
20
wasn't even
greatest.
part of the show, man. I don't even know how this came up, but we need a
We did.
list.
Hold on. Doing this records was nowhere involved in any of the pregame.
It wasn't.
Like anywhere this week.
Story
We
of
really
Adidon took us here. You know what I'm saying?
this is what we like to call a freestyle.
For real.
Or what is it? What does Rakim call it? A purified freestyle?
Yes, sir. NDU Jam says, what do you think of Murr's album? Alan is Dead and Odyssey is released in 2019. Personally, I think that it's his best hip hop album in 2019. I need to get back on. I mean, I hadn't really checked out Murr's stuff since like the mid 2000s to early 2000s. I need to get back on Murr's. Ohio
I haven't
K
been
with
on Murs in a long time.
It's
I'm not
been a
even gonna
minute.
lie.
You know, the guy we were talking about in the previous episode, Chan, that we used to work with, he played that Ninth Wonder Murs album for me for the first time too. Ohio K with the super chat says, Cassidy, you there, Coop?
I was about to ask you the same thing.
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
here.
you went out for a second. Cassidy,
I'm
Ohio K says Cassidy catch a body, Meek Mill diss. Yeah, man, Meek got a lot, man. People was coming at Meek. James Thomas says, Bang Bang, Capone and Noriega featuring Foxy Brown. Yeah, Foxy really brought it to Kim on that one.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, we can go Quiet Storm remix with Kim. Hot damn ho, here we go again. You know,
that wasn't too direct. But for people who knew, they knew.
Yeah, that was if you know situation.
Yeah, I think that Foxy shot on Bang Bang that was very direct. Very direct.
Foxy's vicious. Oh man, I ain't heard Bang Bang in a minute. We gonna thug this shit. We gonna thug. I love Capone and Noriega.
Okay, so I mean, we'll put together a list and everything, but just off the top of your head, before we go on to this Eminem greatest hits, top 5 diss records.
You know what else? Here's another one. Right before I do my top 5, Idols Become Rivals by Rick Ross.
That was cool. That was more of a.
See, you
I
said
would go
you
more
like the
so,
subtle stuff in the build-ups. That's the real shit. That's a real diss.
That's real subtle. But again, we talking Birdman, and I would go more so towards the one with 50 Cent against 50 Cent.
How about this? I think Idols Become Rivals is better than Back Down.
No. I think Rick Ross and 50 has some good ones in there. Tia told me it's a dope record. What makes
you think Back Down is better though? Like Ross is speaking to some real shit.
I guess it's all about what you look for. I think from the entertainment value, Back Down did all of those.
Okay, so entertainment value Back Down, but I would submit this to you. You're a journalist. Like Ross wrote that diss like an investigative reporter. Like, damn, you really broke my heart. I really thought you niggas really owned them cars. And then you hear the Maybach music. It's like he's taking shots everywhere.
Well, this is my thing, man. And with the whole Birdman thing, it's just my personal opinion. If Wayne's not going to come out there and say anything, it's like...
Wayne sued him and they had to settle out of court, Mike. What more do you need to know?
No, I feel you. I mean, and then he'll go out there and they be kicking it, taking pictures. I'm talking about from a diss record standpoint.
Man,
if Wayne's not going to say anything on record, then, it's like, who am I?
Hold on. But there's truth. There's bars and there's truth in there. Listen to what Birdman's a priest, moans in the synagogue, publishing's a sin, repent, forgive me, Lord.
I'm going to go back and listen to it because I do remember Idols Become Rivals was a dope record. Melvin Wright with the super chat says, do you guys think that the West Coast has no quality music if Dr. Dre isn't affiliated with it? Been wanting to ask this for a minute now. Huh. Well, that's an interesting question because Harry O, one of the founders of Death Row Records, he just said that Dr. Dre and Snoop are working on a new album, or he got Dr. Dre and Snoop to be working on a new album. And I'm glad that Harry O is free, and we'll be waiting to see. I mean, do I believe that Dre and Snoop are going to come out with an album together? I wouldn't hold my breath. But sounds great. But to answer your question, I think there's a lot of great West Coast music that's out there. But I think that when Dre comes out, he puts a battery in people's back that amps the quality of it up. I'll put it that way.
Well, I think I get where he's coming from because anytime you're going to talk West Coast, Dre and Snoop are obviously going to be the focal point of those conversations. I would submit to you, we have a ton of Tupac and Ice Cube conversations. I tell you, I love the Tupac before Death Row, even though the best music that he made consecutively is, All Eyes on Me, 1, 2, Machiavelli.
Right.
But Tupac, we talk about pre-Death Row, pre any sort of, and even Tupac on Death Row, very, very little Dr. Dre involvement. So when we're speaking to Tupac, that's mostly West Coast, right?
Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of Pac talk. We do a lot of Ice Cube talk. We just talked No Vaseline, like just now, about how, and you just said No Vaseline's probably the greatest diss record ever. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Who's he dissing on there? Because that damn sure ain't Dre doing a beat where he getting his ass tore apart on.
Well, I
You
mean,
feel me?
again, Death Certificate and America's Most, Dre's not involved. Now, if you want to say America's Most was made in New York, made by the Bomb Squad, fine. But Death Certificate definitely wasn't. And I think it's a better album too. But I think even if you look at like Nipsey and you look at TDE's movement, you look at Black Hippies, I think that the West Coast just looks different than what we remembered it looking like in previous eras. And I think the Bay Area, are we talking just LA or are we talking about the Bay Area? Because the Bay Area got their own scene.
Well, no, he's asking about California, and that's what I'm saying. It's just like, well, when he's saying Dre centered, it's like, well, we pull up and we talk Tupac, correct? Well, we talk Ice Cube. I just got done talking Safe and Sound and loving some DJ Quick. Born and Raised in Compton and Safe and Sound are two of my favorite West Coast albums.
Yeah.
I'm a big Game fan. I talk all the time about my time out in Cali when I moved out there when the documentary was coming out. I speak more highly of the Game than anybody else that I see that's actually like doing any sort of like hip hop journalism, rhetoric, or talk or speak in terms of support of him and his catalog. So we definitely do stuff that's not Dre centered. Schoolboy Q is one of my favorites. I know we haven't talked about Kendrick in the light that some people would like at times, but I'm a big Schoolboy Q fan. You're a big Ab Soul fan. If you want to go to the Bay, it's Mac Dre, 40 Water, Short. I grew up on all that. So.
Yeah, it's a lot. Jay Short with the Super Chat says, can't forget about Kool Moe Dee and his LL diss, let's go. And you also can't forget about Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Jack the Ripper.
That's what we can do a top 25 diss list. It's hard. So hold on. But top 5 disses for me, I think the Ether and the Takeover are just going to be synonymous with each other forever. So they're going to be in the top 5. Funny, even though No Vaseline is about somebody else, Ice Cube's in here twice because I think The Bitch in You is a top 5 diss record all time because I think that's the largest degree of difficulty. It is because nobody is unknown as Common. Nobody is unknown as Common made a diss record has great against somebody that was that great at their peak and succeeded the way that it did.
It's true.
It's the highest degree of difficulty ever. It's part of the reason why we even became even more familiar with Common in hardcore hip hop circles. We would hear The Bitch in You on mixtapes. It's like, who is this nigga from Chicago dissing Ice Cube? It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And it sounded great. It's not like he sounded like a lame. It's like, yo, this nigga is breaking Cube shit up right now.
Yeah. And he had a lot of points. Fresh Out Podcast Show. Shout out to y'all. He said, salute to Mike D and Coop. Love the channel. Good looking out, man. We appreciate the love, man. Let me get to these super chats and we're gonna get to this Eminem greatest hits real quick.
Hold on, number 5. Number 5, I would say drop a gem on him just because like Mobb Deep were the only people that dissed Tupac while he was alive. Like who else like actually was like throwing real shots and the record's there. That's actually one of Havoc's best beats.
We gotta come with our list. We gotta come with our list and we'll see if this list goes viral as well. Yeah. KD with the super chat says, y'all remember Cameron's Bigger Picture? I love that record. He got it, Jay-Z. He got it, Hove. Crazy on that. You gotta love it. It was crazy too. Cam low-key won his beef with Hove, Nas, and 50. Whoa.
No, they just never really took real shots at him.
They never really came back. Now, You know what? Speaking of which, Cam and 50's back and forth might be the most hilarious back and forth of all time. Curtis, show some courtesy, Curtis. Now, he might have got 50. That was, I'm gonna go back and look at that video when we get off our show, man. It's on YouTube. It is hilarious. He had people on the streets talking about Curtis. Old man was like, Kirby. Ray Realms with the super chat says, can you brothers give me 5 mandatory features on Doggy Style 2? Harry O is a strategist. Well, I mean, 5 mandatory. Unfortunately, we don't have Nate Dogg here. I would say Lady of Rage. I would say Corrupt. I would say Daz. Doggy Style 2. Daz, Corrupt. Lady of Rage. Devin the Dude. And Wiz. And that's off the top of my head. What do you say, Coop?
I say The Game.
Okay.
The DLC.
Okay.
And Corrupt, Daz, and the Lady of Rage.
I'm with that. Jay Short with the super chat says, the Bay only listens to the Bay. They do. And I respect it. They support their own. James Thompson.
They do. It's hard.
Yeah. The James Thomas Jr. says, remember Record Haters by E40 dissing AZ? I do vaguely remember that. I'm going to have to go back to that.
But don't.
Mad Max in the super chat says, Tana Talk 4 is way better than Almost Dry. Don't even got super plug. How is this even a question?
Told you, super plug. Back 2 times, Johnny P's Caddy. It's a really, really strong album.
It is, man. We're not giving Tana Talk 4 and Benny the credit he deserves in 2022.
No, I told you it was an album of the year contender when it came out.
Yeah. You did say that.
It's holding pretty well. I mean, we're in August now, and I still can have it like... I mean, the only albums that I know definitely that I think are better are Ransom and Che's album. And I need to go check Ransom's album again before I say that definitely. So right now, Che's looking great.
Mm-hmm. Yo, it was funny. He was dissing Rasheed Wallace in that record, too. That E40 record y'all talking about. Okay. So, today, Eminem released his second greatest hits.
Correct.
It's called Curtain Call 2. And yeah, it had 35 tracks on it. It's a double disc. It's a lot of music, man. A lot of music. But you know what? I was like, today... let me get the super chat and I'm going to finish this. He said, random question, but where would you guys rank Cannibal Ox? The Cold Vein is an all-time hip-hop album. I always see that album on different lists. I'm going to be honest. I haven't really checked it out like I need to. So,
me neither.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. But yes, so this Eminem greatest hits.
Write that in our messages or our DMs or tweet us or send that to us somewhere. So
yeah, send that to info@accordingtohiphop.com so we can make sure that we, own that. Because I always see that album on lists. So yes, it was a double disc. There's a whole bunch of songs on it. It had 35 songs on it. And you know what? I was like, what I'm going to do today, because I know people say I'm unfair to Eminem, I wanted to be like, yo, I'm going to sit here, listen to this greatest hits album, like I'm listening to a new album, right? So, and I'm going to be honest, a lot of the stuff that's on this greatest hits, I really haven't listened to like that because, I haven't really checked for a lot of Eminem's newer material. So, I am kind of listening to this like a new album. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, I guess I'll just go through the track list and kind of let you know how I was listening to it, and then we can kind of go from there. I listened to it to see, like, okay, what song, especially since it's the greatest hits, what song would I replay? What song am I skipping through? And what song did I just, play all the way through but probably wouldn't replay? Right?
I'm listening to you. I'm just going through our album list and just looking at everything.
No, you're cool. So, yes, Godzilla. I'm not going to lie. I kind of skipped through that record. Now, Lucky You.
Are you going... Okay, you're going song by song.
Yeah, I'm going song by song. Lucky You, That's a dope record. I would replay that. And you know what? I'm
I
gonna give
agree.
Eminem credit on that. Like, well, obviously Joyner Lucas killed it, but Eminem killed it on there. He actually sound good too on it.
No, he got busy on there.
Yeah, he got busy on there. Lighters, I skipped that. Nat, I skipped that.
No, hold on. Let's pause. I
Go
like
ahead.
Nat.
You like that? It was
Nat
some
was
bars
dope.
in there, but I think sonically it just doesn't connect. And I
Well,
want to
I
say
thought he
something
was.
about the Sonics too, because yeah, and I guess we could say that now. I don't really feel like sonically Eminem makes hip hop music.
Well, hold
These
on.
these sound like, I mean, sonically, this sounds like pop rock records, right? A
Hold
lot of
on.
the stuff does.
Well, I want to tell you one of the reasons that I like Nat because you're making a very valid point, but I want to make another valid point. He has a lot of help, a lot of ways. And so Nat was one of the few records that I could look to on here and be like, no, it's just him.
Right.
And it's a dope record. And so I gave him maybe like extra points because here's one thing that I noticed. Mike, it's not that he gets to make pop records. It's that he gets to make pretty much like, I don't know if there's ever been even an artist that's been in the machine like this where he literally gets to make any record. Like these records are covering so many breeds and blends of different genres on subgenres. And there are like no rap artist has access to people's nobody can get away with like singing these songs
You're right.
with these different people on these hooks, with this subject matter, with these different genre bleeding sounds. And the only reason that it gets classified as hip hop is because he's rapping on it, but nothing about it is really hip hop except for the fact that he's rapping on it, with the exception of about 6 or 7 songs out of 35.
I agree with you. Mad Max with the super chat says nobody cares about the greatest hits. Darren Harris with the super chat says, have you guys heard the leak that Andre 3000 and Kendrick Lamar from 2019 produced by Pharrell? Super underwhelming for an all-star lineup. You know what? When you even said that lineup and said it was from 2019, I already knew it was going to be underwhelming.
Yeah, we're not surprised.
Yeah, no, not surprised by that. I mean, listen, man, I love Andre 3000. He was my favorite rapper growing up here in Atlanta, Georgia, but he doesn't have the intensity that he once had and the intensity that we hold him high for. So I don't expect anything like super mind blowing at this, stage. And even though I did like, his appearance on Donda, but again, I think that was a different type of record. But just when you really listen to Andre really go for it, I was listening to High School in the other day. You remember that record they did on Light It Up on that soundtrack?
Yeah.
Like, yo, that's the intensity that Andre 3000 raps with, where he's like, be a SWAT guy. That's like choosing which bullet you're going to get shot by. A drink and some hot fries. Slowly eating you up from inside to outside. But we going to die anyway, right? Wrong. I plan to live forever. I know it seems mighty long if you think about it in earth terms. Thank God we on the TV, but we think like earthworms. Stay underground like cheers and give doves. Only come above to give hands and shake hands and give hugs. Lay your beautiful body down on this fur rug. You gotta give a damn if you do not give a fuck. That's the Andre intensity that we don't have anymore. So it is what it is.
That guy's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. So it's like whatever he wants to make, cool. But I'm not gonna be sitting here like just ready for it. So,
here's what it is.
It is.
You want to know what? You know what? 2 sidebars: the Earth Gang album and the D-Day album, the Dreamville album, are both holding up pretty well, don't you say?
I think so.
Aren't those both album of the year contenders? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Now, I like what you were saying as far as like genre bending and still being able to chart because again,
they're calling them rap songs. These aren't rap songs because it's really
sonically they're not.
Well, it's the hooks and the sonics that are leading these songs. And you want to know what this sounds like? Like every time somebody different sings a hook, I'm like, this is really your song. And he should just be doing 16 bars on it if that's how y'all wanted to do it. But if that were the case, he wouldn't have a rap career now, would he? Not at this stage.
No, you're right. It's
like the Dre records and the attempt to make hip hop records is what I really notice is like faded out of this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, let's just say for an example, and I know I'm going way, way back here. A record
No,
like Role Model, sonically, even though it was doing a few different things and using certain instruments that hip hop records don't normally use, that beat is very hip hop. And so
yes,
when you listen to Role Model, that's a hip hop record. Cancel this.
yes.
So if you did, you wouldn't want to answer this. If you responded back with a battle rap you wrote for Cannabis, listen to not the production, but the percussion on there. Listen to the drums on there. That's a hip hop record. Ain't nothing drum wise like that on any of these songs. Even the Walk on Water record, where like I don't even know what to call it genre wise. It's so airy. No one would take a Beyonce feature in hip hop and make that.
Well, that's what I mean. This should be a Beyonce record. And here's the thing about a lot of these records, and this is what I mean about how it becomes genre bending. Well, some of these artists, well, if this was their song like it should be, he wouldn't be the rapper they would call to do the verse.
Mm,
You feel me? Like if this
yeah.
is like look at Walk on Water. Imagine that being Beyonce's song. Is she
Yeah.
calling Eminem?
No. No.
Because I don't even know if she calls Jay for that. You feel me?
No. No. No.
Guess what? Like I actually was thinking about it because I think we're going to talk about him briefly. I was like thinking like, oh, she would call Lupe for that before she would call him. Feel me?
I could see
Or
that.
she would call Kanye if there was like the
I was
relationship.
thinking more
was
so
trying-
Kanye, you know.
Well, I was thinking that in-depth writing ability and that feel, and Lupe can give you that. Like he's a good guest appearance artist, like in a sneaky way when he actually does do it, and he's proven the ability to actually like like hip hop saved my life, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like no, you can do that kind of record.
And
And
so
so
when we have the conversation about the fact that, people in hip hop spaces aren't playing Eminem records, this is why. No one's calling him whack or nobody's saying that he doesn't deserve to be, in hip hop quote unquote conversations from a skill set standpoint. We're talking about Sonics. And he's not making hip hop music. And again, and I'm not saying this on some, you know, this isn't this and this isn't that, because you know how some people feel like only one type of hip hop is hip hop. For the crowd that goes out there and says that the Migos and all of them aren't hip hop, how can you listen to this and say it is?
that is a very, very powerful assertion because I was about to juxtapose that to something right quick. Let's unpack that quickly though, because whatever, I guess Migos often get associated as kings of the mumble rap era, correct?
Correct. Something that they didn't put on themselves. I think
No,
that's a term that Ebro created, but yes.
And I'm saying that in a way that it's like I think they're better than that, but that is the disrespectful connotation that's been attached to them. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if we're going to attach that to the Migos, how can we look like at these records? You know what I'm saying? Like, because like I hate to say it like this. Okay, so on the other podcasts that I do it with the white guy, Andrew, on Mirror Music. And one of the things that we talked about, remember the Chappelle Show episode? We just got done talking about it, about how different cultures respond to rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chappelle has Questlove doing the drums. And he's got John Mayer on the guitar.
Yeah.
And then he had a Spanish band playing the maracas. And it's like, it's funny. It's racist as hell. It's stereotypical. It's also fucking true.
It's cultural. I don't think
cultural.
it's racist. I think it's cultural. Yeah.
And so these sounds that Eminem is providing, well, part of the problem is that these sounds aren't cultural. And at least the sounds that the Migos are providing in terms of the drums and the beat pattern and the aesthetic is cultural. And so you're right. Like you are 100% right. It is not fair to say that the Migos are not hip hop and say what Eminem doing is hip hop, because culturally, why we're missing it is because the music, like literally acoustically speaking, aesthetically speaking, literally the instruments not being used and put to the forefront, i.e. the drums, is problematic to us, like fundamentally to our ears. So we're not becoming attached to his music even when the bar work is there, because I can't lie. I found myself getting lost at the beginning of a lot of these songs and having to like really like listen to him as a lover of words and an MC to be like, oh shit, he's rapping his ass off though, but it's like it's not connecting.
Yeah.
That's
And
the failure. Hold on. And that's the failure of the producer. And who's been his producer most of his career?
Dr. Dre and himself.
Yeah. So this is what I mean about like
let's
we
keep
need to be
let's keep
auditing
it
this.
real, and I'm not
No,
trying to give Dre an
no,
out.
we need to audit this Dr. Dre situation way more carefully because it's like, how much has Dr. Dre really been producing Eminem? Because when
I
I'm
don't
listening
think
to
he
these
has.
records,
I think Eminem produces himself. I mean, to be
I don't like
perfectly
that at all. What's the point
sonically,
of
when
being
you
Dr.
listen
Dre?
to this stuff, and
The
we know
point
what
of being with Dr. Dre. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm sorry. Sonically, we know what Dr. Dre brings to the table, right? And I think that it's not in it's not really in sync with what we're used to hearing from him when it comes to Eminem's material. But when it comes to Eminem's material, it's in line with what we're used to hearing from him and his offspring projects and things of that nature. So I can't help but to believe that when it comes to the production part of it, Eminem is really running the show when it comes to his material. They let him produce a whole Tupac and Biggie album.
I don't like any of that, and I'm going to tell you why. The whole point. Okay, so if you really look at Dr. Dre's career as a producer,
Mm-hmm.
he really hasn't been known for making stellar stuff for guys that you would necessarily call top tier lyricists.
Correct.
Except for a young Ice Cube and a young DOC.
Sure.
Those projects where he had those two artists,
and he was young too.
He not only was he young too, that literally precedes 1990.
Yeah.
Okay. Literally, that precedes 1990. Yeah. He doesn't have a history post 1990 of doing the best with lyricists. Go see Nas on the Firm album, and Nas is Coming on it was written. Go see the Oh My God album from Rakim that never came out. Go see the underwhelming performance that we still feel like Restless is by Exhibit, even though we like Exhibit and like the album. You get what I'm saying? So he actually doesn't. And so this is his artist, and I told you the thing about him that makes him, great is his lyrical ability. But what is it if musically, like, it doesn't,
Well, I feel what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. But on the flip side, there are a lot of producers who do well with lyricists. Eminem never goes to them. Eminem runs from DJ Premier tracks. Eminem's from Detroit and's never rhymed over a Dilla beat. So I can give Dr. Dre that, and I feel what you're saying, but some of this onus goes on Eminem too, where he chooses to go sonically. I think this is where he chooses to go sonically, because I think that when you listen to 2001, listen to the rest of that album and listen to Forgot About Dre. He chooses to go there sonically because Eminem's on that record. And I know he's on What's the Difference with Exhibit, but that's one verse, and Exhibit's on there too. They wouldn't have done that record beat-wise with just Dre and M.
Do you feel like there's been an agenda to make sure that his music sounds a certain way and that he is on certain records and does certain things to make sure? Because, I mean,
I think that's where he is. I think that's where his skill set lies. Yeah, I think there's a conscious effort to make sure that he shines.
That's not a skill set. That's white privilege.
Well, I mean, I think there's a concerted effort to make sure that he's always in his lane, no matter what the situation. Let's look at Renegade.
What lane is that, though?
Let's look at Renegade. Let's look at Renegade. That shit sounds like nothing else on the blueprint.
So that's
and
white
it's his
privilege.
song.
We
know that it's his song already.
So it's white privilege. So we're talking about white privilege, essentially. I mean, that's not a skill. White privilege isn't a skill. It's an ill. It's a societal ill, not a skill. Say it with me. White privilege is a societal ill, not a skill.
Bars. Jay Short with the super chat says, what you said about not being hip-hop records is crazy. Coop, because the talent on Aftermath and Shady Records, all that rap talent, and he chooses pop. I think that he just... This is where his abilities are. He can't
rap to the drum patterns like that.
I just don't believe he can rap to these beats, man. I think that there's a reason why we have...
That's what you're saying. You're saying he can't rap to the drum patterns.
I don't think he can. There's a reason why there's a reason why we haven't heard him on a DJ Premier track. There's a reason why we haven't heard him over a Dilla track. I don't think he can rhyme to that stuff.
The Dilla thing is
at
very
this rate.
problematic.
I think early on when he was
Dilla thing is problematic.
Raucous Eminem on Any Man and stuff, yeah, he could try things, but there wasn't any pressure to be the real Slim Shady at that point, you know? Melvin Wright with the super chat says, "No, Dre is minimal production on Arm's album, on M's album. I'm sure you meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is minimal production on there. I think Eminem is kind of spearheading his production. Did he have any records on here? Crack a Bottle?
Crack a Bottle's on here.
Uh huh. Did Dr. Dre produce any other ones other than Crack a Bottle? And did he do like 3 a.m. or something?
I was about to say 3 a.m.
Okay.
You're right there with me.
Okay.
And I thought 3 a.m. Hold on. So 3 a.m. was probably the best solo joint on here, isn't it?
I like Survival, but I'm gonna get back to
Okay.
the rest of it.
Okay.
Ohio K says M's records don't have any soul. Go listen to Paul Wall's album, The People's Champ, and listen to any M album, and you can hear the difference easily. Even the album that Paul Wall just did with Terminology, you know.
Yeah, this from start to finish, or start to finish. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I just don't. Again,
That might make our top 20 list this year.
oh, definitely. This is my thing.
Well,
and I
it's
do
not a
this.
definite, but it's looking good.
it's
for him right
it's
now.
a thick year, definitely.
Yeah, but it's looking good.
My thing is, man, somebody said Crack a Bottle was some mid.
It
3
was.
a.m. was way better. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan
It's
of Crack a
lit.
Bottle.
It was.
Look,
But I guess you know what my biggest problem with the Dre stuff too is that the Dre stuff hasn't like look at everybody else that he's laced them with and like the classic stuff that he's laced them with like his Guilty Conscience and Forgot About Dre. That's that's the classic stuff you got with him. The classic
Exactly.
hip hop stuff. Like that's below his standards. Like that's not even phone tap level.
no, you're right. I mean, but I think that again, that's by choice. I think that when you produce
They
for
need to choose
M,
different. I'm sorry.
I think when you produce for M, you have to make a certain style of material. Again, I think the Blueprint is a clear indication of that. It's some of the best production of that time period, and it just veers off with Renegade. Like, I don't see how Eminem couldn't just come in, if he was supposed to be on the Blueprint, come in any of those sessions with Just Blaze, Kanye around there, and Bink in there, and rap on something that was at least themed with the album. They went off course, and I know people love Renegade, but just let's think sonically, especially where they placed the song, right? Jigga That Nigga Jigga is Trackmasters. That's kind of piggybacking off of Fiesta, and you could tell Jay really wanted to make that record. He even played it at the Unplugged, so he was trying to have a hit within those parameters, right? Hola Ovito, that's Timbaland. That was his sound. Timbaland's not going to go give you soul samples. But Renegade, I don't understand why that song was not only on that album, but where it was placed in that album. And sonically, it just makes no sense. It would have been so much better. Or you would think, in theory, it would have been better if M would have came in there and be like, okay, this is what y'all doing. Let me jump on one of these Kanye or Just Blaze or Bink tracks. But he can't do that. And he hasn't proven that he can do that.
Well, you know, the biggest. Okay, so first of all, this is not a greatest hits because greatest hits have hits on them.
Well, let me stop you there. What is a hit exactly? Because numerically, all of these shits did numbers. That's how they're going to justify the fact that these are hits.
Well, that's because streams.
But they're not
exist.
greatest.
It's so that has more to do with the societal ill of white privilege coming into play and the genre bleeding going on because of the white. You get what I'm saying? That's what I mean about how the machine is really running this. Well, the white privilege is in play, you know, and then the genre bending goes on. Well, all of these songs are going to do numbers, but where is the quality? Because that's why you and I had to do like real greatest hits list because it's like when I was doing Common's greatest hits today, I was like, no, I'm like, this is what a greatest hit should sound like. This is a signal of one thing, and you already said it, and so I want to give you your props for it. It's over. They're making your second greatest hits album.
And it's like this. Like these songs shouldn't have even been put together.
Like,
yeah.
Like it's almost like they and then now I'm realizing the joint with Snoop was just to try to create some buzz for this.
Yeah. Yeah. I shouldn't be skipping through somebody that has a 20 plus year career's greatest hits like I am. You know
Well,
what I
the
mean?
best, like Fast Lane, I was like, really? I was like, man, I was like, y'all reaching.
I thought Fastlane was one of the better songs on it, but I get you.
No,
I
no, no,
mean,
no.
that's a
Fast
collaborative
Lane's
effort.
one of the best songs on here, one of the 5 best songs on here, but that's part of the problem. Fast Lane,
Yeah, it's not his song.
it's not his song, and I'm not even certain if it would make his first real greatest hits, would it?
Right. I
Because
don't
they've
even
done
think they
better
would
stuff
consider
together,
that.
right?
Well, the other part of it, Coop, is there's so much mid here. I think that's why they made it 35 tracks to kind of, because not only it's going to shoot the numbers up, right? We already know the game.
That's what they're
We
doing.
already know the
Numbers
game.
inflation.
Yeah. We already know the game when Drake dropped Scorpion. That double disc after the whole Pusha T thing. That was to inflate the numbers. Not only is this greatest hits to actually keep the numbers flowing, but they're trying to inflate the numbers by going at the double disc route. KD with the super chat says, "Let's be real. Hove only worked with M for a piece of that fan base. LOL. I don't think most rappers would work with M if it wasn't for the Great White Hope." I mean, I think that's clearly what it was about on the blueprint, and in my estimation, because nothing else really made sense. And at that point, nobody in quote unquote rap music was moving units like Eminem.
So,
Jay said it himself, M Pimp Juice and Us, and he wasn't gonna put Nelly on the blueprint.
well, here's the thing about it. So, this is what I mean. What these black rappers did by inviting M was try to take advantage of his white privilege, because guess what? It's white privilege. It wasn't afforded to them. If the playing field were level, I'm serious. If the playing field were level the way it's supposed to be, when Max Kellerman was on First Take, he used to say this all the time, and I agree with him 100%. I don't have a problem with white privilege. I just want everybody else in every ethnicity, in every class, to get the same privilege, as in black privilege, Hispanic. No. Everybody get pushed to the front if that's how we're running it. And so what you're seeing with Jay, and in his prime, is that he's trying to piggyback off of some of the privilege that I'm speaking to. So what you're seeing with Renegade is the privilege that I'm talking about that's not even afforded to Jay at his peak. And I have come on here and said this plenty of times. Jay's peak is only rivaled in public opinion by Rakim's peak. You feel me? Like, if you were outside when that shit happened, like when Rakim was outside, go talk to somebody from New York when Rakim was outside in '88. And it's like, you can't tell them anything else. You feel me? It's like that with Jay sometime around that time. So the fact that he felt the need to veer that way is where you can see that the privilege actually exists, and the deference given to somebody that to say that they didn't deserve it maybe isn't fair, but just let's say there were people more deserving first.
Well, the thing is, in 2001, for our younger audience, there was a show called TRL on MTV, and this show was heavy in actually catapulting the careers of Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, Eminem, NSYNC, all of them, right?
Right.
Rappers outside of Eminem, they would have to have a crossover smash, like a Back That Ass Up or a Big Pimpin' or a Country Grammar to even touch that countdown. Eminem stuff got on there off GP. And so what
Purple
somebody
Pills,
like
D12.
Eminem, yeah. So somebody like Jay at that time was like, well shit, I'm trying to get walked into TRL without having to make a crossover hit. And let me go ahead and just put M on the album.
I'm not being funny, because I like the Cheers album and the D12 album is solid, but if Rick Ross or Jay or T.I. or Nas pick up a Obi Trice and a D12, do they go platinum?
No, not at that time. I mean,
Priv.
Well,
Pull me up some of that Priv. Pull it up.
Jay Short with the super chat says, I think the last decade they're trying to separate M from his black contemporaries. Even when he works with Busta or Snoop, it's low key. Give him the perception of dominance by omission. That's interesting, because I do listen to this. I guess this would be the second half of his career, would we say? well, let's just say second half of his career in this greatest hits.
This is actually about 2/3 of it because they
Yeah.
got 3 a.m. on here. I feel like I heard 3 a.m. in like 2009, 2010.
Something like that. But let's just say the back end of his career. And I do agree. It's kind of separate from the rest of hip hop and anybody else from hip hop that's working in this sphere. It's like you're in his zone. Melvin Wright with the super chat says Renegade was M's and Roy's songs originally produced by M. And yeah, and they did it that way because listen, I don't know what happened in those meetings and how Renegade came to be on the blueprint and the way that it came to be. I don't know if that was just the original idea for Jay to say, you know what? I don't want him to rap over these beats. I want to get this record he already has. I don't know why he would even do that, but I think, again, like what you and I just said, if I want to get a hit, anything this guy puts out is on TRL. So let me get something he already has.
Take anything.
Yeah.
Give me anything. I'm Hove.
Yeah. I really feel like that was the mindset when it came to Renegade. Give me anything he's working on and he's not using.
I remember when Jadakiss said, and I had a fan base way before the signing of Marshall. You know what I'm saying? Like it was irking dudes in the industry. It's like told you, Mike, invited him to the barbecue, put him in the front of the line when we got to the barbecue. It's like, no, you get your plate first. It's like, hold on. We didn't say that. We said he was invited. We didn't say he got his plate first. Priv.
That's what invitations do.
I like mine warm in a snifter. Warm mine up. Like mine warmed up old school style when you pull up my Priv.
KD says Coop is a sniper with these M takes. We got Ant Learn in the super chat. Shout out to Ant Learn. He said, it's crazy 50 only won a Grammy with Crack a Bottle, and that song is a mid, but couldn't win with anything that he dropped on Get Rich or Die Trying. And I think Snoop still doesn't have a Grammy. All the stuff that Snoop's been on. And I want to say the first, 5 albums that the Eminem released, he won Best Rap Album of the Year at the Grammys. So every year he came out. Oh, Brian with the super chat. This is what I want to hear. Because Brian is the M fan in the chat, and I want to make sure we're being fair. Brian said 3 a.m. and Crack a Bottle were on Relapse. That was the last album that he had multi-Dre produced tracks. His career changed after Relapse. He changed his style on Recovery and never went back to the old M. Okay. So
I concur, because if I'm not mistaken, Relapse had 5 Dre tracks. It was either 5 or 7, which is about as most you're going to get out of Dre on an album anyway. And that was like the last real heat. That's what I mean. 3 a.m. is a Dre check. I think that's probably the last piece of great work they did together.
On Crack a Bottle, let's just say Crack a Bottle and 3 a.m.
Crack a Bottle.
Track-wise. Where do you, let's just say, Let Me Ride to 10 and, you got 1. But on Dre's scale of quality, as a produced piece, where do you put either one of those beats? From 1 to 10.
4.
Okay. What is the best beat he has produced?
Actually, 3 a.m. would be a 4. Ooh. And the other one would be like a 3.
What's the best beat you think he produced for Eminem? Ever. And the fact that we're struggling with that is a problem.
That's the problem.
That's a problem.
Because Till I Collapse, he didn't do that beat, did he?
He didn't, no.
Did he do Cleaning Out My Closet?
No. M did that.
It's very problematic. But I said it was very problematic. And he was to blame for some of this. The Priv...
But is he to blame for some of this if he didn't produce this stuff?
The Priv is not M's fault. Like, white privilege existed before Eminem became a white rapper and got inserted into a hip-hop form. You feel me? So the white privilege is not Eminem's fault. That's why I'm not excoriating him for it. He is the benefactor of it.
Well, this is the thing. None of this is about him personally as a person. And no, none of the stuff that we're saying. We're talking about the music, right?
Right.
And we're not talking about him and, coming down on him. The fact that he gets propelled up. Listen, if I went out there and I just said blah, blah, blah on the track, and everybody loved it and I'm selling millions of records, don't be mad at me. I didn't do that. I can't get mad at people, or people can't get mad at me that I'm being propelled. That's not his fault. Whatever's happening, it's not his fault. But what we're just acknowledging is what's going on and where these records stand. And when you see not album covers, magazine covers from like Rolling Stone or whatever, and they have him as king of hip hop, it's like, okay, well, I'm not even sure these are hip hop records. And not to mention, we have the greatest, in many people's eyes, the greatest hip hop producer of all time. We working with him, we can't even name the best track that he made for him. That's a problem. And
no,
people are saying, forgot about Dre. That's Dre's song. Try again. Try again. And the only reason why that's so good is because Dre had to make sure that it fit within the confines of his album.
Had to fit on the Chronic 2001. Had to fit on the Chronic 2001.
And let's be real. If that's your answer, where do you rank that beat on that actual album?
It's like 17 tracks on there.
Yeah, it's on the tail end.
I'm about to say that beat would probably be like 13th or 14th probably. Jesus. Maybe further back.
Role Model was hard. Did Dr. Dre do that?
He did Role Model?
Somebody said Role Model was hard. Check that real quick if you can.
Yeah, I didn't think he did that.
It sounds like he could have done that. Cinderella Man, I skipped through that.
Yeah.
Walk on Water, I skipped through that.
Yep.
Rap God, it's one of those songs that I can listen to, but I'm not going to put on repeat.
That's one of the 5 to 7 actual real rap songs on here. This dope.
Mm-hmm. Love the Way You Lie. What do you think about Love the Way You Lie?
I like it. I don't love it. It's just okay.
It's a song. It's one of those songs that you've heard so much and they played so much and they still play on the radio a lot. It's like you hear that song walking in a department store and it's like, if it's on, I'll listen to it.
Role Model.
He did Role Model?
Yeah, him and Millman.
I think everybody's saying Role Model then.
Yeah, I would actually agree.
My Name is the other one that people are saying.
No.
You don't like that beat?
No.
Now let's be real, guys. Let's be 100% real. Put Role Model and My Name is beat-wise up against Let Me Ride or What's My Name or Still DRE or Explosive or whatever. Y'all
that shit's not better than It's Funky Enough by the DOC.
No.
It's not. It's not a better beat than It's Funky Enough.
People are saying Love the Way You Lie is a classic. It's
a good song.
Someone says
I like it.
But you know what? Someone said in the chat too, it's pop rap. And it kind of is. And I know you don't like the happy shit. It's interesting that his collaboration with Rihanna sounds like a pop record when that's really not even her world when it comes to working with rappers. You know what I mean?
Right, because she does Loyalty with Kendrick Lamar. Exactly. That's how we remember her. You feel me?
Right.
Yeah.
And when somebody of like, and I say DMX because they came out around the same time, when he does I guess you can call this a love song. Not really a love song, but you know what I mean. A song about a member of the opposite sex. You get something like How's It Going Down?
Or Back in One Piece with Thalia.
Exactly. And I think this is more, and those are hip hop records. This leans a little bit more towards the poppy, right? And it's a good record. I mean,
you know what I realized? All of our euphemisms about cool and black culture are really just our modernized way of saying soul. Like Riri got drip. That's code for soul. Swag. Soul. It all goes back to soul. It really does. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah. See, you know what? People in the chat are bored already.
Our phraseology, the verbiage, the vernacular, the way we coin it, the way we phrase it. It all goes back to the motherfucker got soul or they don't. Because it's like we hear Riri with Kendrick spitting bars, and it's like, well, we're not surprised. It's like, no, we knew she could do that shit. When we hear Jill Scott on Chanel Pearls, it's like, no, we knew she could do that. She got bars. When we hear Erica, you know what I mean? Because we know that they got soul. We know. We already know. So when they pull up like in flex, like in a different way, the flex isn't even that surprising. It's like I knew she could do that shit.
It's
And
people
she
in the
got that
room
shit
saying,
all up in here, up in the diaphragm, up in the diaphragm.
it's people in the room acting like they're bored because we're talking about Eminem. That says it all.
No, we can get out of the Eminem
We can
thing.
get out of it because Coop doesn't want to talk about it either. And
I don't want to talk about it anyway.
but you know what?
No, it needs to be had.
But I'm
It
saying
needs to be
the
had.
fact that no one listens to the music, no one thinks this music is so great, no one's entertained by these conversations. We have conversations about a whole lot of stuff in hip hop, and people come with all these different super chats talking about all these different debates, side conversations. When it comes to his music, it sparks nothing.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, at least for me personally, let me just say, well, this is my happy place. The happy place in space gets all fucked up every time we got to talk about him. It becomes a race conversation. It becomes a privilege conversation. It becomes things that don't have to do with hip hop conversation. I do a whole other podcast where I don't talk about hip hop half the time. That's the whole point of doing the other fucking podcast.
Well, we can move on. It's 35 records. I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, man. Listen.
No, I mean, there's about 5 to 7 really dope hip hop records on here. Most of those songs have help. Almost everything on here has help. I heard some bluegrass, some folk, some country, some pop, some cotton candy. Like I heard everything but New Kids on the Block do the right stuff. Okay, the right stuff.
I'm pretty sure we heard some of that too.
Oh.
Let's see. I never heard the Gwen Stefani record until today.
Me neither.
The
some
Yellow
of these
Wolf
records, I was like,
record.
where did they get these records from?
Shit was all new to me, man. Listen, man.
No, some of these records are new, and that's what I'm saying is that this is what's funny what they're doing to him, and then we can leave it. They're ending his career for him by releasing a second greatest hits that doesn't have greatest hits on them. It's like you understand that hip hop's a credibility thing. That's why we really don't have any real official like Jay-Z or Nas greatest hits floating around.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest, man. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, man. And I went through and I listened to it and I gave it a real shot today. I can honestly say, of all genres, this is the worst greatest hits album I've ever heard. It is. There's not, like you said, it's not even.
It's not a greatest hits album, Mike. They're trying to move the goalpost, and they're really putting it's funny. They're putting a nail in his coffin by doing this. Like, this ain't cool. Like, it's not cool to release a greatest hits like this because you and I, and this is a good way to segue, are actually about to speak to what some real greatest hits should actually look like.
Right. Okay. Clayton is Asleep says, shout out to him with the super chat. He says, best Gangstar song with more than 2 MCs. Same team, no game is dope. Militia. I was going to go Nice and Smooth with it.
Dwick?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking Dwick too. I like the beat to Militia better than Dwick, actually, if you really want to know the truth.
Oh, yeah. The Militia beat's crazy. But you know I'm a big fan of? I'm a big fan of Smooth,
Did he say with more than 2 MCs? Yeah, I was about to say, because I love I love some Moment of Truth, so Above the Clouds with Deck is on there, and then Betrayal with Scarface is on there. Make 'Em Pay with Crumb Snatcher is on there, but those are only 2 MCs.
People saying I never had a positive reaction to anything Eminem. I have, man. I was just talking about how dope I thought the sauce was, man. Like,
no, okay, but listen to this. Do you see how quick we were able to jump all over that Gangstar shit? Mm-hmm. Real quick. Yeah. It was like, oh, what's the best of 2 MCs? You were like Dwick, I was like Militia, and then I started running down some more shit.
Yeah, man. And Smooth, man, from Nice and Smooth, I always thought he was super dope. I think he's underrated.
Possibly.
Smooth was fire, man.
I can't even front. I don't love that era for East Coast hip hop, and I do feel like that's kind of how the West Coast got in. I don't love that era for East Coast hip hop.
You think they got relaxed?
They just transitioned. It's like they didn't know who they were and what they wanted to be yet. I told you that's why Ready to Die is so brilliant, because
I will give you that. West Coast came with that gangster shit, and it was just hard,
they knew who they were. It's like, no, nigga, we banged. What? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, cut that on.
Oh yeah. And again, man,
no, and that wasn't just the NWA thing. That's what I mean. No, DJ Quick, born and raised in Compton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those records had an edge, man. And whenever you
Hmm.
heard them, especially hearing them for the first time, you're like, yo, this is some different shit. I agree with you. I mean, as much as I love the East Coast growing up, that's why the Wu Tang entering in the way they did was so important because they changed the color of things.
They bought it back. They
Yeah.
made it funky again. Like they were the lyricists that Kane and G Rap and KRS and Rakim and Slick Rick were, but they were like dark and dense and creative.
Mm-hmm.
And you felt like they would rob your ass if you fucked with them. Right? Like all those things.
I mean the beats, man. We got all kind of spam in the chat. Please take
Right.
care of that, our mods. Dante Smith with the super chat says, in your opinion, was the best hip hop greatest hits album? Tupac? Do you have one on top of your head before we get to this next greatest hits?
I mean the Tupac one stands out just because we just covered it.
I like the Eric B. and Rakim greatest hits.
I was
That's
like,
just
I
me.
would have to really go through it and think about it. I mean, that Rakim greatest hits. I mean, like of those 15 songs, I'm pretty certain that like 13 of them are like some certified hip hop classic type stuff. Sorry, I'm getting rid of spam right now.
Oh no, you
Like
good.
it's like some certified hip hop classic stuff, like some of the best rap stuff ever. The Pac stuff has some of that Eminem feel where it's like, well, there are some newer tracks and some unreleased tracks. So the most concise one is probably the Rakim one, but that's because it was put out for consumption. And I hear somebody saying Cool G Rap put out Live and Let Die and it dropped in 1992. Niggas wasn't up on it like that, but though. You know what I'm saying? Like you had
Yeah.
to know who G Rap was.
Yeah. DFW Herbie with the super chat says COTI2 is greater than Tana Talk 4. Man, Banks is getting a lot of love.
I like getting a lot of love.
What I was gonna say, man, before we move on to the next one, like I said, this is probably the worst greatest hits I've heard in all genres, and I'm gonna be honest, and I gotta be fair. He definitely falls outside of the top 20, and I'm thinking falling outside of the top 25 with all of this material that is just skip worthy, that is supposed to be on the greatest hits. If these are the greatest hits, what the album shit sound like? Jesus.
Well, let's relate it. Let's relate it to people who he is put in the same weight class as. What do Jay and Nas's best songs look like the last 15 years?
Right. Right. That's not even a conversation.
It's not even a conversation. Like, how about
Ghostface
this?
isn't even a conversation.
I mean, in Nas's case, we don't even gotta go back to the last 15 years. It's like, what Nas's shit sound like the last 2 years?
I mean, Ghostface. That's not even a conversation over the past
It's
15
not.
years.
So
And
everybody,
especially when you got a lot of
to be
these.
honest with you, it's not a conversation with Kiss either.
Exactly. Especially when you got a lot of these all-time great MCs who are doing a lot of these side projects and partnering up with different, you know what I'm saying, DJs or different collectives and creating their own groups. Even with what Deck is doing. Like, people are making some really good music.
The Czarface with Deck.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the Czarface series with Deck is better than what M's done the last 15 years. Easy.
Straight up.
Straight up.
Jay Short with the super chat.
I'm not doing that to be shady, and I'm not saying shady to be shady. Like,
I see what you did there. And let's look at Common and what he's done over the past 15 years. And that's a segue. So
yes.
what Coop did, and Coop and I, we were talking about like what other artists' greatest hits would look like, you know, since this whole greatest hits conversation kind of happened, and we're thinking, okay, Eminem has 2 greatest hits, and a lot of the guys who deserve some greatest hits don't even have one. Redman doesn't even have a greatest hits, does he? So we thought Common would be a good person to kind of profile on this, and Coop went through and put together a Common's greatest hits album, and here it is. Starts off with I Used to Love Her, in retrospect of life, reminding me of self, The Light, 6 Cents, Watermelon, Come Close, The Corner, The Food, Go, Testify, The People, The Game, Driving Me Wild, Thelonious, They Say, Southside, 1999, Song for Asada, Real People, and Love of My Life as a Bonus. Wow.
Here's what I mean about how this was brilliant. He is the rare artist that actually delivers on his singles and on his album tracks. I could go to most of his release singles and be like, no, that's one of his greatest hits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I used to love her in retrospect for life. I was thinking, no, those are two of his 20 best songs. He released those songs.
Yeah.
The Corner, The Sixth Sense, The Light.
You could even throw the Corner remix or Come Close remix on there, the Dilla remix with Pharrell, Q-Tip, and Erykah Badu. Stuff like that could even be bonuses.
I'm cool with the remixes. There's stuff that I wanted to put on here that I didn't put on here, like Hungry. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll tell you some stuff off one day it'll all make sense that I love. I love Invocation, Real Nigga Quotes, Hungry, and Making a Name for Ourselves, and Gaining One's Definition with CeeLo. That didn't make the list.
Making a Name for Ourselves is tough. Jay Short with the super chat says, how would Nas do a greatest hits? We know his singles are man.
Singles aren't man. It ain't hard to tell The World Is Yours and One Love are singles. That's
even,
not man.
Even with his quote unquote man singles, he would have a tough greatest hits.
Okay, so this is what I'm saying. People go, man, let's go through some of Nas's singles. One Love, It Ain't Hard to Tell, The World Is Yours, Nas is Like
Hate Me Now is a pretty decent song.
Look, Made You Look. Yeah. Made You Look. I just gave you 5 Nas singles. Like, that's some of the best rap stuff ever. It's very, like, Rakim-like.
KD with the super chat says, M only has 2 or 3 good albums. Everything else is trash after that. How does that compare to someone like Ross or Gibbs, who's been given consistent greatness? This is true. DeCarlo with the super chat says, Eminem is in my top 5 and been washed for some time. I see a lot of people in here mad, but it is what it is. He needs to do better. He's too popular. Shaking my head. DeCarlo, now, if you say he's been washed for a long time, how is he still in your top 5? Like, does your top 5 just not move?
It's immovable.
You know what I mean? Like, back in the day, Andre 3000 was in my top 5. He's not anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. Jason with the super chat says, I know this ain't the topic, but big ups to you both for always giving Rakim his just due. M ain't top 50. Jeez. Now that's a bit far. Well, but we appreciate
I want to say something to that too, because it's like, well, we're not giving Rakim his just due. We're giving him what's been earned. He set a standard in every other genre. When there's been a standard setter who has changed things, they are so revered, it is ridiculous. Go look at the Beatles.
You know, I was just listening to
even within music culture and other genres. Look at the way Nirvana is heralded for grunge.
For real.
Look at the way the Beatles are heralded for pop music. Look at the way Bob Marley is heralded for reggae.
No, you're right. Now, I was just listening to the Hoodlum soundtrack when Mobb Deep, Big Noi, and Rakim got on the record together. And it was the first time that Rakim ever jumped on the record with somebody outside of anything. And I'm listening to Rakim's verse, and I'm like, he literally taught everybody how to rap.
How to rhyme, right?
This shit is
Y'all
crazy.
rap like him.
And people after him, like, he literally set the standard for how to rhyme. And you can hear it on that record, too. Like, these guys were taught by him inadvertently. Melvin Wright with the super chat says, Alchemist is M's DJ. Let that sink in. Right. Has he ever rhymed over an Alchemist beat?
You want to know what? I'm not sure about that, but Alchemist is everywhere. You want to know what I just thought about?
What's that?
Alchemist is the one that did that joint on the Carter 3 with Jewels and Fab.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got nothing on me? That's an Alchemist beat. Alchemist is everywhere.
Alchemist is everywhere. Got to give him credit. The L Web with the super chat says DMX has the best hits of an MC next to LL, in my opinion. You know what? I think that LL Cool J greatest hits is pretty great, too.
It is.
It is pretty great. All right, so let's get back to your comment, greatest hits, which I think is like super dope, man. You kind of surprised me with the reminding me of self.
I actually thought that was one of the last few records that he actually made like that, you know?
What do you think about Ghetto Heaven? You didn't like Ghetto Heaven?
I'm not as big on that as everybody else is.
You know what? I didn't love it when it came out, I wasn't big on Macy Gray when that came out, and I didn't love the video where he's like, stepping on the sky and all that stuff. But it was a pretty good song looking back at it. It was cool.
Still not big on it. Give me Come Close.
Come Close is better. I love the
Yeah.
song he had with Jill Scott on Electric Circus. I know you're not really big on Electric Circus, but
Come Close is all we got off Electric Circus.
nah, man, that song, I Am Music, the
I know
Jill
what you're
Scott
talking
song,
about.
it's a dope
It's
record.
more soulful. It's more soulful than Come Close. It might be better musically. I know what you're saying though.
And I also love, you don't like Aquarius on Electric Circus?
I like it. I like it. It's cool. It's not greatest hit stuff to me. That would be next 20 stuff. Like if he had a second greatest hits, maybe Aquarius makes the next 20. But I'm not even certain about that because I would put in some of his back end stuff that maybe didn't make this list.
Well, I know you got Southside on here, so you know it kind of cancels out They Say, even though I think They Say is. Oh, you got They Say on here. I'm tripping.
Yeah, They Say is
What
on
I'm thinking about is the song on
Night City.
I like Shot City a lot, but
That's
that's not the greatest hits. But I was gonna say I Want You.
I couldn't do it.
I love
You want to know it? The Dilla joint with D'Angelo would have been on there before that one to me.
Okay.
You've Come So Far?
Yeah.
So far? Yeah. I love that record.
I
That
think,
would have been on there first. Either version would have been on there first.
and you know what? What's crazy about Common's catalog.
That's one of my favorite
You
Dilla.
put this together, and you don't even have anything from Universal Mind Control on there.
No,
You don't
we
have
can leave albums
anything.
off.
You don't have anything from The Dreamer, The Believer,
The Dreamer Believer.
which has some quality songs on it.
No, that's what I mean. Is that like no? I could do another 20 and give you some more quality stuff. I stayed off some albums totally. I told you I stayed off some of those back end albums where there's some gems in there.
Yeah. Did you like Sweet?
I love Sweet. Sweet's dope. Sweet would be on the next 20.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to know what?
I think Sweet
And this is what
deserves
I mean.
to possibly be on there.
I didn't put the bitch in you on here, but that's just because I'm not a diss record on greatest hits type of album. I wouldn't put Drop a Gem on Mobb Deep's greatest hits. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You
Right.
don't want those type of things to live forever on a greatest hits.
Yeah.
Jason said, "Coop, I heard, but unfortunately, no mainstream media gives Rakim his love. Y'all, this is not a debate. I'm just giving y'all the credit for being real. No, that's what's up, man. I mean, you know, I know everything Coop says sounds like a debate, but nah, he's concurring with you. And we're doing what everybody else should be doing, but we appreciate the love for it.
And I know Rakim is who we probably frequent and feature the most, but KRS-One deserves that energy. Big Daddy Kane deserves that energy. LL deserves that energy. Slick Rick deserves that energy. Chuck D.
Yeah.
Scarface.
LL should get a lot more credit than he does.
Yeah, I mean,
to be as famous as he is, he still doesn't get the credit he deserves.
We have to revere these people because here's what I also realized too is that we revere Big and Pac so much, but it's what about L and Pun and Easy and Left Eye? It's no, we need to do this shit while people is live, living, and it's going down, you know?
And I really feel man, they kind of snuck LL in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too.
I don't like that at all.
You know?
Yeah, I still don't like it. It's that is so unfair. It's
they act like it didn't even happen.
I really thought about this. It's everybody really did interview LL. Mm-hmm. But who else did you have to go off of to watch an interview from? Who else was getting interviews?
He was the blueprint.
So, when you got him going up there with
Run DMC was getting interviewed, but other than that, as an individual,
right?
Yeah.
But you put him up there with Jay, it's that's dimming his light. You know what I'm saying? Why would you do that to him? But it's
that is an 11-year span. That's an 11-year span. And I don't even want to get on this Tribe and M thing, but that's a whole nother. We'll be going back.
We've done enough.
We've done enough of that. Jay Show with the Super Chat says, a song for Asada, It's Your World, Love Is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got song for Asada on there. Love Is was on the borderline. I like Faithful more than Love Is.
I think It's Your World is one of the most beautiful closeout songs on the record. It's perfect for that record.
It is that. How about this? I was picking between They Say, Real People, and Your World. And I thought Real People has better bar work. And I thought They Say was more greatest hits appropriate. You
I
know what I
think
mean?
It's Your World has better bar work than all of them.
I don't know about that. I don't know
Yeah.
about that.
She got
Real
the
people. I don't know.
like-minded
I don't know.
niggas.
I don't know. The bar work is crazy on the whole album, but Real
Uh-huh.
People is pretty special.
I think the bar work on It's Your World is probably the best bar work on the whole album. To me.
You feel that way?
Yeah.
I mean, the best bar work's the corner, but I mean, okay.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of that style too, but yeah, he's really taking it there on This Your World. That's the Common that we know. Like, it's very introspective Common. Michael Williams with the super chat says, "What separates Nas from AZ lyrically? Is it fair to say that AZ's flow is better? On average, his rhyme scheme seems to be more dense and complex." Well, I think he said
The
it there.
rhymes,
Go ahead.
the rhyme scheme is more dense and more complex, but he's not. You know what I'm saying? Like the depth of what he's saying isn't.
I
I'll
think
give you an
Nas
example.
spoils us, man. We take his greatness for granted sometimes, bar for bar.
No. How about this? I remember my friend Charles Bacala when we were young and we first started rhyming used to say, well, as a tactician on the mic, AZ is more dazzling than Nas because of the wordplay and the verbiage he used. Like on Do or Die when he's like, before we let any titty boppers try to stop us, you rather put your head through the propellers of a helicopter. Like, that's like Nas doesn't do that.
Mhm.
But AZ, as much as he is a visualizer, he's not the detail-oriented, put the scene together person that Nas is. Look at them on Mo Money, Mo Murder, Mo Homicide, like the bar work.
Well, you
Nas
don't
is
think
set-
Nas did that on Lights, Cameras, and Action, Glamour, Glitters, and Gold? I unfold the scroll, plant seeds to stampede the globe.
Yeah, but the verbiage isn't crazy. Like
Yeah.
he's not using words like helicopter, titty bopper, propeller. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's not using those words. This is how he does it in a mahogany, black scenery. That was lightning and raindrops. I tied up in the basement cocaine spot like Bangkok, Vietnam type mind control. Like his talk game is different.
Yeah.
When AZ comes in, he's like, I'm like a mathematician with the hold on. What did he say? My mind is like a grad from Princeton. Soon you'll be listening. Like his wordplay is just different, but it's more about the wordplay than the actual scenery. Nas is a scene setter. You know what I'm
AZ
saying?
uses more words per bar.
It's verbiage. His verbiage is higher. You know, it's very I mean, AZ's verbiage is I mean, the only person who I can think of like word for word that does it like he does would probably be Pun.
Mm.
So his verbiage level is high, and so when he executes, but he doesn't know how to paint those pictures. Like that's harder to do over the course of an album. That's why he sounds so great when he's with Nas. What Nas does, Nas is going to deliver over the course of an album. AZ delivers better in those spurts when he has, you know, somebody like Nas next to him. That's why their shit's so brilliant. They're perfect together.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful play. You know what I'm saying? It's like AZ's explanation of why life's a bitch on Life's a Bitch is totally different than Nas's explanation of why life's a bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. Now, what would you say to somebody saying that some of these records aren't hits?
Okay, first of all, almost all of these records on here were singles. I Used to Love Her, single. Retrospect for Life, single. Reminding Me of Self, single. The Light, single. The Sixth Sense, single. Come Close, single. The Corner, single. The Food on the Dave Chappelle Show, Go, single. Testify, single. The People, single. The Game, single. Driving Me Wild, single. 1999 got released as a single on Sound Bombing.
Mm-hmm.
So literally about 13 of these songs were actual single hit records.
Well, if you throw Love in My Life in there, then what? That's 14, and you got a hit. I mean, you got a greatest hits right there with 14 records, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. So when people are saying that, it's like, no. I mean, the only stuff that didn't get released was Watermelon off Resurrection, Thelonious off like Water for Chocolate.
Wait a minute. Thelonious is one of those. It might not have been a single, but that's a street hit. Like that's a cult classic.
That's what I'm saying.
You could go anywhere and probably hear a record like that, and people be like, "Oh shit!" Like, you know, I walked in. I forgot where I was at, man. I was in East Atlanta, and I walked in. The DJ was playing "Abandoned Ship" by Busta Rhymes. I was like, "Oh shit!"
It's one of those places.
Those type of records,
Right, one of those places.
Like, yeah, this wasn't a single, but this was the song on the album that everybody was going to.
Well, that's what I kind of tried to do
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with
I see
what
what
was
you
left.
did.
After I went through the singles, it's like, okay, so on Resurrection, I remember people used to talk about Watermelon.
Mm-hmm. No, that
And
was a
so
big
that
one.
was the joint that I chose from Resurrection. On Like Water for Chocolate, Song for a Cider, and Thelonious were the joints, right?
Well, there's a lot on that one. It was a lot on
But
that album.
I mean,
But
doing it, I thought about doing it too.
doing it, I remember doing it get played. And I don't
Yeah,
even think that was an official single either.
it felt like it was the unofficial like last single or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
Real People, they say it's like they weren't singles, but didn't it kind of feel like they were singles because
Oh,
you
they
kind of
say
feel
got
like
played.
they got played.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the thing that I see on here is just how wonderful that time with Ye is. Because I mean, look at it: The Corner, The Food, Go, Testify, The People, The Game, Driving Me Wild. They say Southside, Real People. That's half the greatest hits.
Between the work that Kanye's done with Pusha, him, Jay, himself,
I'm gonna tell you what.
I might have to
This,
put
and this
Kanye
and this
above
greatest
Dr.
hits
Dre, man.
is concise as a producer's greatest hits is gonna be because it's like the only producers on here are No ID, Kanye, DJ Premier, and Jay Dilla.
Incredible, right?
I'm sorry, 199 High Tech. I
High
think didn't High
Tech,
Tech
another incredible one.
look at that. Look at those producers on the greatest hits. Don't tell me producers don't matter. We got 21 songs from Common. We got High Tech, DJ Premier, No ID, Kanye West, and Dilla.
Love,
Mike,
Dilla did Love of My Life, right?
yeah,
Okay.
that's what
Dilla
I'm
with the
saying.
super
Think about
chat.
it. You got Dilla. Hold on, your greatest hits. Your main producers are Dilla, Primo, and Kanye. Yeah, yeah,
We're gonna have to really,
yeah. You need to put some
we're
respect
gonna have
on
to
it.
really examine
Some
this whole
respect on
Dr.
that.
Dre thing as a producer. I think we need to spend a whole show on just kind of examining the greatness and some of the missteps of Dr. Dre as a producer as a whole, and are we possibly holding him too high? And I'm somebody who has Dr. Dre at number one, based on the output of certain albums, iconic albums that he had a hand in. But maybe we need to take a closer look because that
I'll tell you
Eminem
what.
thing is a big, it's a big not asterisk, but it's a big minus.
It is. I'll tell you what. You want to know what we really need to find out? We really need to find out how many beats he's responsible for on these three projects specifically: The Chronic 2001, and Doggy Style, because Daz did a lot of work on all of those projects. And I heard that
Well,
Warren G did some work here and there, and we've heard that Quick did some work. We know Mailman did some work. You know what I
well,
mean? We need to know.
I feel like Mailman co-produced the whole Chronic 2001.
I feel that way too. So let's go ahead and leave that off the board and say that's a co-production credit. Does any other all-time great producer get the credit that he gets for co-producing?
Well, I mean, even on the firm, right? We were just talking to the gentleman who co-produced with him on all those songs.
I was just thinking about that. The glove helped do phone tap, and it's
Yeah.
like, no, that's what I
Because the
mean.
thing is,
The
we give
RZA,
Dr. Dre total credit for Phone Tap. It's like, okay, well, what did the glove do? He might have made the whole damn song, and maybe Dre came through with just some drums.
Well, this is
Who
why
knows?
I've always told you that whole RZA run is really, really serious to me because, and here's what made it serious to me. When I saw True Master get credit on Brooklyn Zoo, and I was like, oh, they gave him his credit.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. That's one of those type of records that if you're RZA and you're
you taking records, you taking that one. No, you're right.
You take that record.
No, you're right.
You take
No,
Brooklyn
you're right.
Zoo and put your name on it. The fact that I saw True Master's name on Brooklyn Zoo, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this motherfucker legit. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
No, for real.
Okay.
Dylan
There
with the
ain't
super chat says, which do you guys think is better? Better follow-up track to Ether, Takeover, the Blueprint 2.0, or Last Real Nigga Alive? You know what? Based on the circumstances in the order, I'm gonna go Last Real Nigga Alive, even though I feel like the Blueprint 2 should have been the response to Ether, but I think we're a little bit out of order because Ether's the response to Takeover. So that's the best response.
It goes Summer Jam, Live, Stillmatic diss over the Paid in Full beat. Rakim popping back up again in this hip hop lexicon and culture.
Right.
Nas went at Jay over what track? Over the Paid in Full beat, because he knew what? He knew heads was gonna know. It's like, oh, you going at Jay over the Rakim shit? Let's go, game on. That's head shit, Mike. That's chess. Then you get the
Full takeover.
The takeover's done, and it's going at Prodigy and the other guys at the end. Y'all only get half a bar. Fuck, 3 verses are done. He hears the Stillmatic disc, goes back, 4th verse on the takeover. Then Ether. Then Super Ugly. Then the
Blueprint.
Then the Blueprint. Then Last Real Nigga Alive.
Yep. Jay Shaw with the super chat says, okay, what's AZ's weight class? Jada, Deck, Corrupt? That's a good question.
Yes. Okay. So I'll tell you this. AZ is actually somebody who we need to have an all-time conversation about. Like, where does he actually rank? Because I think Do or Die is a classic. I think Do or Die has held up exceptionally well. I think as a lyricist, I'll put him up against anybody, because think about it. He's gotten the best of Nas multiple times on records. And he's actually the only person that can actually really say that. Like, multiple times he's gotten the better of Nas on records, or at least been right there with him.
Well, Jay has too, but whatever.
Who?
Jay-Z has too, but that's different.
Well, those records aren't good. So
Black Republican's good.
So, I'm talking about those songs that are actually worth the damn. Okay. I mean, I'm not being funny either. Black Republican is the only song that I would take around anywhere and be like, hey, these are our 2 greatest MCs. Look at them perform together. The rest of that shit you would keep, because you'd be like, those are your 2 best guys? It's like, really? They don't sound that good together.
It sounds like Jay's trying a lot in the way where Nas is kind of trying at all. And it feels like that even on Black Republican to a degree. I feel like Jay's so competitive that those 2 are on the record together. Jay's going for it. And I think Nas is going the opposite direction on purpose.
No, but it's funny. Like, right now, it seems like Nas is hyper competitive right now, and Jay's totally uninterested. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna make music, maybe, if I feel like it. Possibly. I was thinking about it. It's like, that's the most competitive MC ever. He's like, yeah, maybe, if I feel like it. I might. Really? Not a focus right now. Okay. Whatever.
Mad Max with the super chat says, LOL, AZ got better flow than Nas, has better imagery. AZ is Kane, Nas is Rakim. With how both of them rhyme.
How about this? I mean, this is what I mean about how we need to have a conversation about AZ. He's not remembered the way that Kane is. But when you have to say he's ranked higher than Kane, look at his catalog. Look at the bars.
I can't say that, but I feel you.
What do you have for Kane to say that AZ is not better?
Homeboy Blaze with the super chat says Blue Sky. This is the thing, man. I think that if AZ went up against Kane in like a versus format, I think Kane wins that.
I mean, Kane can beat almost anybody just off stage presence and performance alone, though, so that's not necessarily fair to A.
You know what I thought? And I don't want to go backwards or whatever, but I meant to say this earlier when we were talking about Eminem's greatest hits. Imagine him going in a versus with these records.
Oh, no, it's very problematic.
Think about that. These are the greatest hits, right? Go in the versus with these records. Who you going to go against? You going to go against Busta Rhymes? Because that's what we really wanted. If versus really wants to get people interested again, give us Busta Rhymes and Eminem. Let's do it.
I think just giving us Busta Rhymes will get us all interested.
Well, there's nobody else to
like
go
Busta
against
Rhymes.
Busta
Insert
Rhymes.
somebody. It's like, ooh, Busta.
Well, who's going to go against Busta Rhymes?
I mean, people still don't want that smoke. Like, he's a problem.
I mean, who's going to go against Busta Rhymes? I mean,
he's a problem.
He is. But if Eminem's top 5, he should go against him.
Because you want to know what? And what's crazy? He's that rare problem that it's like his street shit is all like kind of like hit shit too. That's why he's such a problem. It's like, no, Woo-Ha's kind of street, but everybody kind of knows Woo-Ha. That's a problem.
Yeah, he's a mix of crossover and street.
Right. Put your hands where my eyes can see. It's like, no, that's a big hit, but it's like, no, streets love that record. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Everything Remains Raw is his most street record, but it's like,
I love that record.
That's probably my favorite Busta record, but it's like...
It might be mine, too.
But then you go to, like, his hit records, like, What's It Gonna Be?
Yeah.
Give it to me. And it's like, oh, you got like Monster Smashes 200, and then you got like the
And
guest
then the
appearance
features,
stuff.
yeah. You
Right.
should
What
just roll out the red carpet. You'll move a target. Got you open like the supermarket.
then it's like Scenario remix, Flavor in Your Ear remix, Look at Me Now remix. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, don't
Yeah.
nobody, it's a problem.
Ray Realms with the super chat says Common is dangerously a dangerous adversary in a versus. There are many legends that will lose against him.
Just off this lineup, yeah.
What do you think about Common and Busta Rhymes? I know it's a way different style and mix and whatever, but in a versus setting.
It's a style thing, but Busta's hits are too big for Common.
I think so too.
But Common's album stuff, like if Versus was more of a musical format where it's like you were ranking it on the quality of the song, Common would still probably beat Busta. That's what I mean about how great Common's catalog is. Song for song, in the end, Common's catalog is better than Busta's.
Of course, but on the stage, it'll be different.
But on the stage and at the top.
And Common's a great performer, too.
And you want to know what Versus really exposed? Versus really exposed why the industry matters on the level that it matters. Is that like, no, the hits and how they bang and how they sound live, it matters. And Versus puts that out on Front Street, really, because there were so many Common joints. I'm like, well, that's one of his best songs, and I can't put it on this list. It's like, I can't put Invocation on there. That's the Start the One Day. It all makes sense where he says, I inhale imagination and breathe wonder. It's like, no, that shit's not flying in Versus, though. Okay.
No, for real. And again, Jada,
that's what I mean.
Jada showed us that with the... Go ahead.
No, look at something like, we just celebrated the Purple tape, right? Glaciers of Ice plays much better in a Versus than Verbal Intercourse. You understand me?
Listen, you're going to disagree with me. It's a better song, but whatever.
We can argue about that till the end. But do you get what I'm saying? The energy that Glaciers of Ice brings on a live format,
Stay on the block, Reebok gun count.
It shows you why Glaciers of Ice was the first single off of the Purple tape, and why Verbal Intercourse is the album track that they chose to follow up the first single. It's like great for different reasons, but appropriate. But Verbal Intercourse ain't gonna play live the way Glaciers of Ice is gonna play when that beat drops.
Man,
think about
I wish we could have got Rakim on Glaciers of Ice, man.
Ghost is doing dessert promotions for Marble Cake. That's off the interlude from Glaciers to Ice. That's how epic Glaciers to Ice is. They still eating off of Glaciers to Ice. It's different. It's different.
Ryan Gillen with the super chat says, what's your top 5 hip-hop albums for this year so far? He said, mine, Lupe, Shay Noir, Vince Staples, Logic, and Dreezy. It's a good lineup there. Jay Short with super chat says, I knocked Dre for not being able to work with Rakim. I think a lot of people do.
I do too.
And see, this is the thing, man.
The Nas Rakim thing is problematic.
This is the thing, man, for me. And I'm just going to be real. You're the greatest producer in hip-hop history. You get connected with the greatest MC of all time. Let's be real, from your era. They're in a similar age bracket, so it's none of those differences there. How does that not work? And when you get somebody like a Kanye West who picks up somebody who is in a different age bracket than him, a Common or something like that, able to make that work. He's able to make Pusha T work when Pusha T really doesn't kind of, I don't want to say kind of do the type of music he does, but they've been on different wavelengths sonically in the times that they've worked together. I mean, we saw that when he made his album that month and made Daytona in that same month. Not to mention being able to pick up with Jay-Z and make stuff for him and, basically take over the Blueprint 3. Jay is very versatile, so he's a little different. But this is the thing, man. It's like, other than new artists that Dre had to cultivate himself, when has he been able to take an established person that has their own habits and has their own way of recording, their own way of doing things, and made it work? He's Coach K, man.
Whoa.
He's Coach K. He makes you work in his system.
No, hold on. That's not fair. And I'm not saying this as a Duke fan, which I am. But Coach K actually changed the way that he coached. and adopted to the system as the way that it was working, which is the only reason that he has the last few rings that he has. So that's not fair. You're talking about Coach K prior to 2005.
Of course, he had to adjust, but I'm talking about prior to that. When
Dre didn't adjust it. So if you want to say that he's Coach K from like 1980 to 2005, it's like, yes, but Coach K switched it up. And the only reason that Duke continued to win and get players like Kyrie, you know what I'm saying, was because he switched it up. Guys like Kyrie weren't going to come to Duke necessarily. Well, Kyrie's smart, so he would have came to Duke probably. But how about this, Jason Tatum? Jason Tatum's not at Duke if Coach K doesn't switch it up. So I don't know if that's the total.
But you know what I mean, though.
No, I get what you're saying, though. It's like, I mean, people forget Dean Smith. Mike, we talking college basketball right quick. I'm from North Carolina. It's like Dean Smith had a system, too. It was a system where Michael Jordan can only average 20 points a game.
Yeah.
Feel me? It's like James Worthy. Guess what James Worthy averaged in that system? 20 points a game. Guess what Sam Perkins averaged in that system? 20 points a game. Guess what everybody averaged in that system when they were the star player? About 20 points a game. You know, the systems are built out a certain way, so I get what you're saying. He comes from a train of thought in a certain era where it's like Guru said on The Moment of Truth, oh, well, he has a certain formula.
Yeah.
But has he updated the formula with the times? Because what I will tell you is that it's looking like some of the formula being updated is the co-production credit, like Chris the Glove Taylor, Melman. You know what I'm saying?
But it feels like the only people that are able to make really
Quick not getting paid.
It feels like the only people that are able to make really good stuff with him are the people that come from him. And so are we giving him too much credit in that light when there are people who've been able to work with people that they never worked with before and find magic? Even with what Hit Boy's doing right now with Nas. Like, Dr. Dre hasn't even done that with Nas. Let's be fair.
This is why we
or
need
with
to
anybody. Or with anybody.
No, this is why we need to audit it, and this is why I was having the conversation that I was having with you, I believe, last year about the whole RZA thing, is a lot of these albums, and we need to have a sincere conversation about this, a lot of these albums that Dr. Dre gets credit for, well, he did not produce it beat to beat, end to end. And that's why I tell you, well, the Chronic and Doggy Style and what he actually did on there is super important, especially Doggy Style, Mike, because there are rumors floating around Doggy Style that Daz did a lot of the beat work.
Well, Snoop himself said Daz made the beats, Dr. Dre produced the album. Now, this is the thing when it comes to...
That's Doggy Style.
Yeah.
That ain't no regular album.
But again, what we need to hear, and we may never, ever, ever, ever hear this, I want to hear what the production sound like before Dre stepped in, when it was just Daz stuff. We're never going to hear that. But it sounds like from Snoop, because Snoop heard all this, he recorded all this, it sounds like when Daz did it, it was a little bit more primitive, and Dre bumped it up to the level of where it is and what made it be what it is. But I can't really speak to that because we haven't heard both sides. I've heard the Thriller demos. I heard what Thriller sound like after the fact. I heard the rough version of what Human Nature sounded like before they actually, put it together and really arranged it and made it to what it became. But I can't really reference that Daz and Dre thing. But what we can reference is the other stuff that Daz has done without Dre. And I think it's very unfair that Dre gets more credit in the mainstream for All Eyes on Me than Daz does.
Because Daz did most of the beat work.
He did the most work on there.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest with you, he did the most seminal song on there, in my opinion, which is Ambitions as a Writer. That's Daz.
That's the most important record.
Beat. That's the best beat on there. The best beat on All Eyes on Me is Ambitions of a Writer. That's that nigga Daz.
Man with the super chat says, what do y'all rate Common's The Dreamer Believer? I think it's a solid 4.2. It's a really good album. I like The Dreamer Believer. I think the only issue with The Dreamer Believer to me is, I'm trying to find a nice way to say this. The production's a little dull. It's not bad, but No ID doing the whole album made me feel 444-ish,
It's a little dull.
Yeah.
I gave it a 3.75.
Jay Short with the super chat says they'll put M against 50 if it ever happens. Yeah, and it'll be a love fest. I can see that happen.
I understand that.
Michael Williams with the super chat says, what kind of sound aesthetic are you expecting from KD3? Apparently, Nas wanted Magic to sound a lot brighter. Hit Boy convinced him to go darker. Again, Hit Boy doing a great job out here.
Right. And
That's the
whatever
thing,
Hit Boy.
man. Like I said, we can't point to any time in history over Dr. Dre's illustrious career where he took on somebody who was already somewhat established and went out there and made an iconic album, or at least an album
Think about
that
this.
lived up to it. Exhibit was that opportunity to do that.
Think about this. Think about what he just said. Hit Boy out here telling Nas, it's like, nah, we making that darker. And Nas is like, yes, that's the power of a dope ass producer.
Yeah.
You can take where you can tell the greatest MC of all time. It's like, we're not doing that this time. And I've been telling y'all that for years. It's like, no. What Nas really needs in the studio is real executive production. It's like, no. We're not doing that, fam.
I've said that for years too. He hasn't really had anybody sit there and produce him since Illmatic. And all due respect,
just be like, no. No, just to tell him no.
Yeah.
Tell him no. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't in position. He was, even though he was a prodigy, he wasn't really in position to tell Pete Rock, Q-Tip, Premier, or even Large Professor at that point what to do. These guys had made records before. He was out there absorbing, like, yo, I need to get to where they're at.
He put his first two projects together himself as a young man, as well as you could ask somebody too. He's about 19, 21, 22, 23. So admirable job.
Yeah. But he worked with some very incredible and established producers that helped him with that too. You know what I mean? And they were able to work around his greatness and his gifts.
Right. But you can see and you can tell that it's like some people need executive production.
Yeah.
It's usually your greatest talents and artists. Like we're going to talk about him. Like if somebody just brought it up, I was just thinking to myself, like, Lupe has been saying some things on Twitter, and I'm like, man, you want to know what? I was like, he needed him a Steve Stout type of character just to handle some of this bullshit that he's talking about for him. Be like, you deal with that, so I don't have to. So I can make It Was Written. Just keep the track masters at home and call Pete Rock and DJ Premier next time instead.
But I really didn't like that track masters pairing, man. I really didn't. And I like the track masters. I think track masters, if Versus was still doing the producer thing, I think Trackmasters would give people hell. I think there's not a lot of people that want to match up with the Trackmasters, for real.
Okay, so most of the Trackmasters giving people hell, a lot of that is going to have to do with L's catalog.
It is.
For the time, like, because didn't they do like Hey Lover, Doing It, Lounging remix?
I Shot You.
Yeah, right. So L is giving them hell too, not just Nas. It's a Queens thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, they had L and Nas, and that's a nice little coup to have.
Who would you put up against Trackmasters in a versus?
Just Blaze.
I don't know, man. I mean, I love Just Blaze. I'm a big Just Blaze.
That's why I said that. You be talking about Just.
He wouldn't win that one. Trackmasters got some shit.
Mm-hmm.
They got hits. I think that he would be.
What's their biggest hit?
You know what? This is what I'm gonna say.
What's their biggest hit?
Well, technically Juicy, right? But but yeah, I mean, look, Jermaine Dupri and Puff were going back and forth or whatever, and Jermaine wanted to go against Puff, which I think would have been way closer than many people think. But Puff need to go ahead and go against Trackmasters then.
He would have beat Puff.
Jermaine, I think so too.
Yeah, when you get the production credits on the record.
Well, I think that's where it gets blurry. We don't really know what Puff is gonna play.
No, we know who did what. Like, because it'd be saying.
But we don't know it would be a lot of auditing going on in that.
Anything that says co-produced with Puff next to it, like on a certain level, at a certain day, at a certain time, is gonna have like smoke.
Well, see, we went over this in one of our earlier shows when all of this stuff was going on. But Puff said he could beat Jermaine with his Biggie and Mary stuff alone. And we actually dug into the credits. He didn't even really do much Mary and Biggie
Chucky.
stuff. Rest in peace to Chucky Thompson, man. He did a lot of work.
Chucky Thompson.
Yeah.
Easy Mo B.
Mm-hmm. Because when I think of early Biggie, when I think Ready to Die, I think Easy Mo B.
Easy Mo B.
That's what I think.
Well, Easy Mo B did most of the work. I told you they called Preem at the end, and that was based on what they heard on Illmatic.
Yeah. Mad Max with the super chat says, to be honest, Common should be one of those most deaf if you would help both. Huh? He said, to be honest, Common should do one with most deaf. It would help them both. I don't think Most Def has enough material for Common, and I love Most Def. I'm a Most Def fan. Common got some hits, man. Let me get to some of these other super chats, and we'll continue on with this discussion. Okay, Mad Max says, I've been said Daz is better than Dre. Y'all put Dre on this pedestal. RZA is better. So is Ye. I think at the end of the day, man, especially when we're talking to a younger generation, it's going to be very hard to make the argument as a producer that Dr. Dre is a better producer than Kanye West.
Well, here's part of the problem with it is that, he hasn't done a good job with his legacy about keeping the Chronic and Doggy Style alive like he should.
Well, those albums are 30 years old now. As a producer, he needs to make new stuff. Being a producer is not like being a rapper where you can actually get old and your voice is not where, you know what I mean? Like those other albums are 30 years old. Do it again.
That's not true. Snoop has played this masterfully. Like he has played this like a real boss and a master, because Snoop has a whole catalog outside of Dr. Dre. But when it is game time, when it is go time, when it is big money showtime, you've seen it on the DMX verses. Where he go?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's exactly what he does.
An artist can do that easier than a producer can, though. Cool.
No, he has the documentary. He has Get Rich or Die Trying. He has some of this M stuff. No, he's had opportunities for him to kind of like make himself more viable. He's almost glorified and sanctified himself and isolated himself too much to the detriment of his legacy to future generations. You get what I mean?
No, definitely.
It's like all the I'm Dr. Dre and I only make an album every such and such, and when I do, it's one of the best things you've ever, like all that shit starts hurting you when Ye makes classics for Common and Jay and makes his own classics and got these remixes over here and got beats from Dilla over here that he's hooking up for all these guys.
Yeah.
No, the shit
and
different.
Out here doing shit with the shoes and all that, so it's like
the shit different when the Jizza talking about Liquid Swords and he's like, I heard my album when RZA finished it. That's different.
Mad Max in super chat says,
what did you just say, nigga?
Mad Max said, No More Pain is the best beat, Coop. And that was Daz too. No More Pain.
That's Devontae.
That's Devontae from Jodeci.
And I think that's
And I agree that is the best beat on the album.
Hold on.
I'm with him on that. That's Devontae from Jodeci.
I'll give you that, but also too at the time,
and I think it might be Timbaland actually, but whatever.
There's this guy named Timbaland that was in Devontae's Basement Crew when that beat was getting made, and I swear that sounds more like the beats that Timbaland would make than Devontae made.
I feel like I don't know any of this, and we probably would never know, but I think Timbaland made that beat.
He did make that beat. Listen to the drum pattern.
Oh yeah, I know. We had never heard nothing like it before that.
It's literally almost the same drum pattern as One in a Million.
Yeah. Okay. Either one or two things happen. Either Timbaland got his drum pattern influence from Devontae, or Timbaland made No More Pain.
No.
Either one could actually work because Devontae's an incredible producer.
Okay. Charlotte shit going on right here. My older cousins grew up with Dalvin and Devontae. My cousin Vici used to be their first backup dancer, along with a nigga named Silky. And Silky is one of my cousins. No, Silky is one of my cousins. My younger cousin, Alex, that's her dad. That's how close we were to them. They used to be singing on my aunt's porch when they was a kid. Dalvin was a drummer. Them niggas wild. Or they were wild. You know what I'm saying? I remember them when I was a scrap. But that's real live that Magoo, Missy, and Timbaland were part of Devontae's Basement Crew. That was like, and they're from Virginia. This is Charlotte, North Carolina, Virginia, not too far. And they had, and the word was that they had a producer that was making some really, really dope beats coming out of Virginia. And so when you're hearing that drum pattern on No More Pain, all I'm saying is somebody from Charlotte, North Carolina, whose family maybe knew some of them people. Like my cousin Shonda, before she died, used to talk to Dalvin every year. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, that Timbaland shit, and he was around that time.
I want to ask Timbaland. I really do. LP with the super chat says, same way that Dre hasn't made a classic for established artists, name a producer who has made as many classics for new artists. Dre is a control freak. Jay Short with the super chat says, y'all said the Alchemist is the answer for everything, but y'all sleeping on Apollo Brown. I think Apollo Brown's super dope too.
I was listening to Apollo Brown and Stale today. I love that album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. 1 second, Mike. I got to get rid of some of this spam, but
yeah,
it looks
getting
like
crazy.
It looks like my actual designer of my clothing line finally decided to step in the chat. Rico North is in the chat, guys. So the guy where I get all my clothing from, the Kabari, the whole clothing line, and Mike got some stuff too. He just be wearing the According to Hip Hop stuff as he should. But y'all check out my guy Rico North. He actually just pulled up in the chat right now. He said he was going to start pulling up. I told him, I was like, I've been wearing your gear and supporting your biz. Like, pull up in the chat, come support your gear. So if you see Rico North in the chat, that's my man who supplies all my stuff, and he can give you the information, and you can get at him like in the chat. So I just wanted to give him a quick shout out since he took the time to finally like pull up. I be wearing his shit all the time. He hit me up earlier today. He's like, I'm jumping in. I was like, I'm wearing a pink shirt.
Shout out to Rico. Appreciate the love and appreciate you jumping in and appreciate the merch too.
Yeah, the clothing line is called Kabari. You can check him out on Instagram. You can shoot us a line at the end of the show or hit him up, and we'll get you a link and like all that good stuff. But that's all. I just want to give him a quick shout out.
No, perfect. Andre Shashir with the super chat says Timbaland said that he only did the drums. Okay, well that's the important part.
Well, the drums are what made that record.
There it is.
Hello, good night.
Well, I will say this, man. No More Pain. That's one of those records, man. That shit sounds like the future.
That's futuristic. No, like that's 1995.
Yeah, shit's crazy, man.
So I'll give you that. No. No More Pain.
I would argue that if we put, and you're probably going to disagree with this, if we put Life After Death and All Eyes on Me together, No More Pain's still the best beat.
Yes. No. I'm not. No. I No More Pain actually, like, you want to know what? That's one of those records that I love it so much, but sometimes it's the grown man in me, it's harder to listen to the record.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because he's so on fire on that record. That beat's so fire. That's one of his best songs.
It is like, one of his best songs.
That's one of those songs that makes a greatest hits.
Mm-hmm. They didn't put it on his greatest hits, did they?
No, it should have though. Like, it's one of those records. Like, how about this? They put Hit 'Em Up on there, but they didn't put No More Pain on there. I would prefer that you take Hit 'Em Up off and put No More Pain on.
It's not even close.
No.
Nas the GOAT with the super chat says, I think Trading War Stories is the best beat. Trading War Stories. I like Trading War Stories. That's a dope beat too. Only God Can Judge Me is my shit too.
How about this? Here's how I feel. You know how we just talked about It's Dark and Hell is Hot is better than Reasonable Doubt? I think All Eyes on Me Volume 1 is better than It's Dark and Hell is Hot. That's how much I think of Book 1 of All Eyes on Me. It's some of the best rap shit ever. Song for song, song for song, there aren't too many albums fucking with the Volume 1 of All Eyes on Me, like, period.
It's damn near greatest hits.
Huh?
I said it's damn near greatest hits level. Or what greatest hits should be. We're not going to change what greatest hits are because Eminem dropped the trash.
Ambitious as a Rider starts it off, right?
Yep.
Every other video. All About You. Scandalous.
Mm-hmm.
Got My Mind Made Up.
Yep.
How Do You Want It?
America's Most
Wanted.
Mm-hmm.
No More Pain.
Yep.
The Hearts of Men.
Shit's hard, man.
We ain't even got to I Ain't Mad at Your California Love yet.
Only God Can Judge Me is after that, right?
Huh?
Only God Can Judge Me is after that.
Only God Can Judge Me, yeah. Like everything. Like the worst song on there is the last song. That's What's Your Phone Number.
Yeah, I didn't like.
I saw what they were doing, but I didn't like. But that's because I like Prince and Morris Day in the time.
Yeah, I love that.
Give me that happy shit.
I see what he was doing, but that wasn't a match. Air Rudy with the super chat says Rock Marciano and Alchemist are dropping Nothing Else Matters. Rock Marciano discography is ridiculous. Yes, it is. That's my guy. Shout out to Rock Mar.
Can we talk about that right quick?
Yeah.
Are we done with this riff? Are we on to the next riff?
We can go on to the next.
I was meaning to talk about this too because I was looking at that track listing too.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have been talking about the whole Black Thought Danger Mouse and Nas and Hit Boy and Album of the Year contender stuff, and I was like, some sleepers sitting out there. There's always some sleepers every year. Like Cole might pop up with an album. You know what I'm saying? That's not a sleeper. We just don't know if he's doing a project. It wouldn't be a sleeper if he dropped. We just don't know if he's dropping. Like, we know Thought and Nas are dropping, right? This Rock Marcy Alchemist thing.
Yeah.
And you're a bigger Rock Marcy fan. No. This is one of those projects I'm talking about. It's like, no. What Method Man was just saying is like, I wish a nigga like Rock Marcy was running the game. Opportunity in place is right here.
I'm looking forward to hearing it, man.
Because of what Griselda's built and what Griselda's become and the homage that gets paid to him now, and now guys like Method Man popping up and paying him homage, and he's been had Alchemist on deck. He's a hell of a producer himself. Like, this is big opportunity moment for Rock.
I remember putting people on the Rock. I mean, I remember listening to Rock since I talk about Dirty Harry all the time. That was really the first time I heard Rock.
Digga joint on the Digga shit,
yeah. When he was on the Flip Mode joint, that's back when he was on Flip Mode Squad and replaced Lord Have Mercy. But I remember with just his solo career jumping off, I was putting people on the Rock Marciano in like 2016, 15 maybe. But yeah, I'm happy for him. This Alchemist collaboration should be great. I'm looking forward to hearing it, man. Looking forward to talking about it too. Andre Shashir says Dalvin went crazy on the keys too. He did. I'm sorry, Devontae. I'm talking about Dalvin. Dalvin played the drums. Devontae went crazy on the keys too. Man, that's a great record.
Song. Yeah, it's a beautiful song. See, like I like Pac with that type of vitriol. Like, I like Pac with that type of vitriol when he's like on that level. But he's like speaking to his game. Like he said, now my adversaries blast on sight and fuck your boyfriend. Bitch, I want some ass tonight. You know my stilo. Alizé and Cristal. We show you heard of all the freaky shit they say about me.
I think I'm going to listen to that song.
All you busters is jealous. Pull your gun out and blast. I dare you niggas to open fire. I murder that ass and disappear before the cops come running. My Glock spitting wild. Niggas falling down, clutching their stomach. It's West Side Death Row. Thug niggas on the rise. Buster shot me 5 times. Real niggas don't die.
Darren Harris with the super chat says,
that's the shit.
That's Tim's drum pattern. The rest is Devontae. Tim already spoke in an interview about this. Okay, I missed that.
We didn't know. We don't be following Timberland.
Oh, that's
we don't
what's
be
up.
Making hip-hop beats like that.
I love that. What I was going to say, man, somebody accused me of accusing Eminem of appropriating the greatest hits. The standard for greatest hits, you probably didn't hear me when I said that. I said something about greatest hits actually being a greatest hits. We're not going to let Eminem's whack greatest hits change that. So.
No, I heard that because he doesn't get to move the goalposts. This ain't no greatest hits.
No. We're not moving the goalposts. Not even for Marshall.
What is this? The greatest hits? The greatest hits of the last 15 years? Is that what you're going to put in parentheses? It's a long-ass title.
The hits. I would have been okay with them just saying the hits because numerically they are hits, but they're not the greatest.
They could have just went in this. You know what I'm saying?
Curtain call too. How you get a curtain call too? Like, are you gone or not? Katie with the super chat says, Rock dropped the album of the year candidate whenever he drops.
Now you sound like Mike.
That's my guy, man. Rock Marciano.
No. You've been consistent with Rock Marcy. Yeah. And I'm fucking with Rock. Like, I like Rock, just not like the way that you do. But, you know, I'm one of those guys. I feel place and space and momentum too. You know what I'm saying? And I feel his momentum is like at an all-time high. And so I want him to cash in on it. Like, even look at it. He's the one that jumped Stove off. Like, Reasonable Drought's produced by Rock.
Crazy,
like,
right?
We know about Stove because of Reasonable Drought. Reasonable Drought's the most impressive project from an unknown artist or from an independent unknown artist that I've probably heard in the last 5 years. Like, I'm high on Stove. You know how I feel about Stove. That's Rock. Rock put that in play with Reasonable Drought. I still play Break the Pyrex and Crosses.
Yeah.
Tell me something.
The goodest hits.
The goodest hits.
Yo, I want to get to something real quick, man, because we actually got an inbox from one of our listeners from Australia, and he said that, you know, he normally can't really, you know, tap in live because of the time difference. So Jerry was like, you know, what up from Australia? Can't listen to you guys live because I thoroughly enjoy. I'm sorry. I can't listen to you guys live, but thoroughly enjoy it. Actually, I get extremely excited and absorb it into deep dives into topics that you guys talk about. Please keep doing what you're doing. I wish you had. I wish I had close mates to debate hip hop on this level. All my boys are independent rock heads. A couple of questions I wanted to pick your wisdom on. With Murder Mace coming out back into the fold recently with the management issues, I dusted off some of Mace Presents Harlem World, the movement. The production was so feeling like a Justice League track. So feeling like a Justice League track. The artists just weren't owning those tracks. When has he had much negative energy for Puff? Why did he go back to Bad Boy and make Welcome Back with Bad Boy? It would be great to hear what you think about these moments in history. What do you think about Mace going back to Bad Boy? And shout out to Australia. I know we get some people to tap in. What time is it over there right now?
They're 12 hours apart from us, I believe. Okay. So it should be. We're some of. I think in Australia we're people's morning show. In London we're people's late night show. Gotcha. And here we're the get off work on Friday traffic in your motherfucking town show.
So yeah, if he has such ill feelings towards Puff, he's wondering why Mace went to Bad Boy to make Welcome Back. Sounds contractual to me.
Money, 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 money.
And I guess this would be a good time to say that. Did you hear the story about Mace, or not story? Well, Mace saying that he wants to sign to Death Row Records. What do you think about that?
You were just singing this Clout Chaser's praises the other day, weren't you?
Listen, man.
We'll chase any piece of
clout. Get the clout, man. Get the clout.
He's a big clout chaser. He always has been, though.
Get the clout, man. You know, I think that.
What? What's that?
Let's just say
I'm
this.
there. What you need me to do? I'm there. Clout, 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 clout.
let's just say hypothetically he does sign to Death Row Records. What do you think about Mace and Snoop collaborating on stuff? Do you think it will happen, or?
I wonder what the Lord thinks about him doing that.
Oh, yeah. Snoop has a gospel album, so maybe.
Remember that whole part? Yeah. Not like Mace, though. Mace different, remember? He's a pastor.
I don't see the fit, but I did see that he tagged Snoop in the post, and Snoop normally is very active on social media. He didn't respond. It seems that Snoop has a relationship with Puff, and I don't think that he would make that kind of move. Yeah.
Clout.
Yeah.
It's clout.
I think Death Row probably has some things on deck already, and Mace might not be a part of those plans. And I think.
How old is Mace?
How old is Mace?
Yeah.
I don't know. He has to be like 43, 44, something like that.
When the last time Mace dropped the album?
Was it with G Unit? Something like that? I think. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong in the
I don't think Messiah was born. I don't think my daughter was alive when that happened.
Jay Short in the Super Chat says, "What's your expectations for Drillmatic? If it's a classic, it would be on the he should be on the West Coast Mount Rushmore with Snoop, Pop, and Q. I put Short in a different lane. Okay, so if Drillmatic is, let's just say hypothetically, not even classic, let's just say Drillmatic is a top 3 Game album, which is very high for a catalog like his. Do we already put Game above Kendrick, or does this album determine that, or is that just out of the question?
I think for the populace, it's out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
But if we keep it unbiased and fair, like we typically do, and let our tiebreaker be the catalog, what you're actually going to find is that the Game might actually have the best West Coast catalog from beginning to end.
Mixtapes and all that stuff included too.
I mean, also too, just the fact that it's like, well, I mean, go pull up Snoop's best shit and go pull up Cube's best shit. Is it better? Yeah. Now go play me track number 55.
He beats them. He beats them in the long game. But see, the only thing that hurts Game, in my personal opinion, and I think Game is awesome, is he collaborates so heavily, and that's one thing that people will be able to hold against him. And the wild part about it, though, Coop, he doesn't have to. He's talented enough where he doesn't even have to collaborate. I like when Game's by himself more than when he collaborates.
So can I tell you the truth? Part of the reason why it was so tough for me to do a Game's greatest hits is because actually some of my favorite stuff and his best stuff, in my opinion, is stuff where it's just him.
Mm-hmm.
But
the hits are collaborative.
The hits are all collaborative, and some of his best stuff that he gets renowned for is collaborative. My dog is upstairs barking. I have to let him out.
Okay, go ahead. Let me get to these super chats.
Yeah. Hit the super chats up right quick. Like think about the documentary, and then think about Jesus Piece, and think about the bangers on there. Well, all the bangers almost always have help, but some of the solo stuff on there is some of his best stuff, but it never gets released, so it gets overshadowed.
The production helped too. Katie with the super chat says Stove low key had a feature of the year on Back 2 Times. Michael Williams with the super chat says, do you think Life After Death would have sold more than All Eyes on Me had Biggie hadn't died right before the release? You know what? That's an interesting question. I think that Life After Death probably wouldn't have sold as much as it did had Biggie lived through it, but I think it would have sold a lot because he would have been able to do a lot more videos. There were a lot of potential singles on there that Biggie would have been able to be a part of. So I still think it probably, I don't know. Let's just be real. History doesn't show that would have been the reality because Pac had always outsold Biggie to that point. And All Eyes on Me sold a lot of units, and Pac was super huge at that point. Let me get to some of the other super chats before we get to this next topic. And I think we did want to talk about the game anyway because Drillmatic's coming out next week. But, yeah, Drillmatic, I think if we're honest about it, like Coop said, the game does have a better catalog than Kendrick. I think on an impact level, it's hard to really quantify if he should be on that Mount Rushmore over Kendrick because even with the break, Kendrick's impact on the West Coast is real heavy, and I think it'll be a very tough argument to make. You will almost have to do it by eras. You will almost have to do it where it's like, okay, early 90s, late 80s, we got Cube. 90s, Snoop. Early 2000s, Game. 2010s, Kendrick. I think that's the only way you could possibly justify having Game on the Mount Rushmore of the West Coast. You got to do it by decades. You know what I mean? It would have to be Cube 80s, Snoop 90s, Game early 2000s, and Kendrick in the 2010s. If you're doing it like that.
Yeah, right. See, what people have to understand, I mean, first of all, I feel like, Ice Cube and Tupac are kind of immovable. Is that fair?
Yeah, I didn't even say Pac, man. I'm tripping.
So yeah, I mean, Cube and
Pac I guess in the 90s, you're going to have to
actually, Snoop's immovable, too. So 3 of the 4 slots are taken. So if, like, you're doing it Mount Rushmore, I don't know if that's fair because 3 of those slots are just filled. Ice Cube, Pac, and Snoop aren't moving. Ain't no moving
so
there.
I guess, it's just Kendrick and Game battling it out at that point if we're not going to count Dre as an artist. And I think that, man, it's hard to really argue Game over Kendrick based on the output that Kendrick's put out there and the minimal help he's had compared to Game.
That's where the separation, because Game actually has a better catalog, but it's only because he got here first, has done more work, but has been more collaborative heavy.
Yeah.
His solo songs are not as good as Game. I mean, Kendrick's solo songs are better than Game's solo songs.
Yeah, and the fact that, I'm going to be perfectly honest, and like I said, I love Game's music. I think Game's on the tear. I can't wait for Drillmatic. But even the samples that Game uses, they're like high-profile samples, high-profile producers, and I got to give Kendrick credit. He doesn't really do that often. I mean, Soundwave is Soundwave, but they try some new things sonically. You're not going to hear a classic sample with Kendrick that already is, working. You know what I mean?
Kendrick
I hate to hold that against people.
Efforts to do things, and that's fine as long as it's working.
Yeah, as long as it's working. But when we're nitpicking, comparing, and having to pick one over the other, we kind of got to delve into those things. Katie with the super chat says, yes, the Game is above Kendrick. People won't admit it because the Game's the black sheep and his reputation and Kendrick's God Messiah complex.
I'm gonna say less.
KD also says a lot of Kendrick's impact is typical Interscope smoke and mirrors, in my opinion. We got to remember, after M, it's Kendrick as the flagship artist over there.
Ooh. So hold on. Is he getting a lot of attention and placement the game never got because of the early Interscope fallout?
Oh,
Possibly.
definitely, definitely.
Can I
Matt,
ask you something? I mean,
go
because
ahead.
I know you probably feel this way, but it's like, okay, I know that Kendrick's best four albums are better than Game's best four albums, right? Like Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn
Well, if you
are
put them
better.
in order, yes, yes.
No, not in order, just period. Like Kendrick's best four albums are better than Game's best four albums, wouldn't you say?
Well, you're saying Kendrick's best four albums are better than even like the documentary and Doctor's Advocate. Like, where
I'm
does?
saying as a
Okay,
whole, like, hold on, what are Game's
I
best four albums to you?
the game's best four albums.
Yes.
All right, the documentary, Doctor's Advocate.
Yes.
I think Jesus Peace.
Yes.
And see
Where are
that
you going?
fourth one. Where am I gonna go with that fourth one? He's got a lot of quality projects, man. I could go
Yes.
1992. I could
Okay.
legit go Born to Rap. Honestly, I thought Born to Rap was really slept on.
You do,
Um,
and you still feel that. You know, I'm going to go listen to Born to Rap again because you've maintained that thesis.
yeah, Born to Rap's tight. I'm gonna go with 1992.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would probably go with LAX,
Okay. Another good
and
choice.
and that's without bringing up the documentary 2.0 or 2.5, which I enjoyed as well. But I say this to say is that, well, this is why I'm telling you I want to see Kendrick do more work because, well, your top four is better than Game's top four, but not by a whole lot. And Game doesn't usually even get top 20 all time MC consideration. Listen to what I'm about to say. What is Kendrick shit gonna sound like on what album is Game on? Like 10 or 11 or 12? You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, how is your shit gonna hold? Because you and I know this. Game has made about 7 or 8 dope ass albums.
He has.
So even though your best four is better than his best four, let's not act like the documentary is something to sneeze at. Doctor's Advocate is nothing to sneeze at. Jesus Peace, nothing to sneeze at. Now the collaborative heavy thing is real, but that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
it's like that's why I'm talking about Kendrick and the recording material and going to work. At least the nigga Game go to work and we got 8 dope ass projects out of him. Are we getting 8 dope projects out of you? Like for your career, are we gonna get 8 dope projects?
You know what? His catalog is so dope that I'm even forgetting stuff, man. I'm going the number 4 spot. I'm gonna go the documentary 2.
That's what I'm saying.
And
I thought about it
I'm
too.
trying to think. Do I want to go 2 or 2.5?
Can
I'm
I tell you?
thinking 2.
Can I tell
That's
you
a
how
heavy
funny I
album,
am?
man.
Can I tell you how funny I am? The intro to the documentary 2.5, the Magnus Carlsen with Anderson .Paak, I changed my whole rating of that album because they couldn't get the Stevie Wonder Rocket Love sample cleared because the record sounds totally different with the Rocket Love sample. But that record, had they got the Rocket Love sample cleared, I would have put that on this top 20 list. That's how dope he is. Dollar in a Dream made my top 20
I love
list.
Dollar in the Dream.
Dollar in a Dream's a monster with Ab-Soul. That's a monster
I
of a
love that
record.
record.
That's
I love
the best
that
thing
whole
on,
album, man.
That's the best thing on 2.0 to me.
Now,
Dollar
are we
in the
going to
Dream's the best
count that
record.
as one album or 2 albums?
You know how I feel about these long ass double albums. I'll be counting them as 2
Yeah,
because
that's 2.
all
It
rappers
was
do
put
is
out
make
2
more
weeks
money and to
apart.
get more sales and to get more numbers. And I get it. Go get your money. Go get your paper. That's 2 albums.
You know what, man? And 100 was a very strong single too.
100's on my list.
I love 100. Mad Max with the super chat says,
So it's Gang Bang anyway.
I love that record too. Mad Max says, Pac is not a West Coast MC. He can't be claiming no coast because he spent equal time on both coasts.
He didn't spend equal time.
B More is an East Coast. Pac was raised there, and Pac don't even sound like a West Coast rapper.
He doesn't. His voice is definitely East Coast.
I mean,
voice is definitely East Coast.
Jay Shore with the super chat says Pac was with Digital Underground. That's the Bay Area. So it sounds like everybody is pulling Pac away from LA.
More California time than East Coast time. East Coast time was like minimal. The Bay.
So when did he move to Cali?
Man.
Like, was he out of high school?
Damn, I'm feeling old. No, because I feel like the School of the Arts, after the School of the Arts with Jada, like something about going out the cap. I forget exactly, but you know,
Yeah, I mean, because I've never really heard that story, and I'm asking just because I don't know. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. Like, when did he move out to Cali, and how did that take place? Mad Max of the Super Chat says Katie is right. K Dot is more media hype. Look at To Pimp a Butterfly. That's media hype. All the music critics said that was a classic. Just brainwashed us. Damn and Good Kid, Mad City are the only joints people play. The rest are I. I will give you guys this. I loved To Pimp a Butterfly when I first heard it, but let's be real. People weren't super high on that album like that. They are retroactively talking about the greatness of To Pimp a Butterfly. Even when Damn came out, Kendrick himself downplayed that album on Big Boy's show when he was ranking his albums. They weren't talking about To Pimp a Butterfly like it was the masterpiece. That's new talk. And that's just real. I mean, but I was talking that shit, but I was...
Actually, you and I were both talking about it in masterful and masterpiece terms, and we're in the minority.
Yeah, nobody was talking that when we was talking that back then. When that album came out, like I say this all the time. I was listening to it I was like, this might be the best hip hop album I've heard since Supreme Clientele. No one else seemed to agree. But now they want to retroactively go back out there and talk about how great To Pimp a Butterfly is. I was wrong in my assertion as far as the Supreme Clientele, but that's just how highly I thought of the album when it came out. LP with the Super Chat says, how lasting is Game's music? He's not talking about much like K-Dot is. It's really not close as far as lasting power and indeed in dead is that deed of impact? I guess impact of catalog. I could feel that.
Nobody has those problems with Biggie or Jay.
What? Subject matter content?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially Big. I mean, Jay, you could at least say Jay has a wealth of
Jay's
catalog
evolved into some things. I'm just thinking Prime Jay wasn't heavy on subject matter and was considered to be an all-time top 10-ish MC. You know what I'm saying?
I think people just don't like the game, man.
Thank you. Just say that, because it's no, Biggie and Jay get to be misogynistic and lightweight in content as fuck, and it's the best shit I ever heard. And it's yeah, me too. Long as you understand.
People seem to be very critical of Game. And anything he does,
he catches a lot of flack he should not catch. You see how all these Kendrick stands are jumping in here. How could you even? It's no, motherfucker. One of them records, one of them doesn't. All right, how about that? How about that?
Mad Max says, I love Documentary 2.0 has Game's best song to me on that massive level. Documentary 2.5 has the best rapping. I got them all over every K-Dot project, not named Good Kid, Mad City.
Oh, see, and here's what people don't understand, and here's what I mean why I fuck with Game too. Well, I lived out on the West. I seen live the who, what, where, when, and why he's making music for. Oh, trust me. They was playing the Documentary 2.0 and the Documentary 2.5 in the hoods in Cali more than they was playing Damn and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. You feel me?
Well, I was going to ask our people on the West Coast.
Or anything except for Good Kid, Mad City that he makes. Game actually is making shit for the set, for the West Coast.
Well, I want to ask the people in the room that are from the West Coast, are they playing Kendrick's music like that? Katie with the super chat.
Every time we do that, they we don't be bumping Kendrick out here. It's I know.
Jay sure to let us know. Jay sure to let us know what they playing. Katie says, and the thousands of mixtape cuts, loosely, leaks, freestyles, remixes, etc. Kendrick doesn't have too much work outside of his album and features, and he doesn't have a lot of features either, guys.
Feature game is super light.
I think that's one of the things when we talk about being an all-time great in the conversation that Kendrick was in, and if we talk top 10 conversations, his feature game is the lightest, and not even just based on amount of work, just the gravity of work.
The quality.
Yeah.
So look at this. Ice Cube doesn't do a lot of guest appearances either. But look at the shit that he's on. I don't know, Natural Born Killers off the Murder Was the Case soundtrack. Or Hand of the Dead Body with Scarface on the Diary.
Real Nigga
Roll Call. Right.
Here we come, boy. Ryan Gillum with the super chat says, I saw a tweet that said Kendrick doesn't collaborate with rappers who can outshine him. I've heard Was it the Rich the Kid song, New Freezer? There was a story
I
going
like New
around
Freezer.
that, huh?
I like New
I like
Freezer.
New Freezer too. There was a story going around that Kendrick was on that song, but it was supposed to be Kendrick and ASAP Ferg. And allegedly, Kendrick said, or Kendrick's people said, if he's on the record, I can't be on the record, so it's just got to be me on it.
Who?
Huh?
Who said that?
Kendrick's people. I don't know. Allegedly.
Why
Y'all can
can't he
Google the
be on the record
story.
with Ferg?
Y'all can Google the story. He wanted to be, and I don't think it was anything against Ferg per se. I think that he just wanted his feature to be by itself. And so it made me think, if this
Oh.
story is true, how many times has this been done?
He might not have liked the fact that he was actually like on that record called Control and got all that fanfare, but us real heads was like, yeah, but Jay Electronica has a better verse while you were talking that shit. Maybe he just
Got
didn't
to
want
clear
that to
the
happen.
playing field.
Yeah, yeah.
Nas the Ghost
Told you
says,
Jay Elect had that better verse on Control.
Nas the Ghost says, I listen to Game more than I do K-Dot. K-Dot has better content, but I honestly feel the Game makes better music. Game
he
is
does.
on that Mount Rushmore. Game's albums are just better.
Because they are. Well, he actually has albums.
Yeah, as far as catalog,
We can't compare
it's not
them
even
because
close.
it's like we can go 7, 8 albums in the Game's catalog. We can't go into Kendrick's catalog like that. We got 4 dope albums.
Darren Harris says, Game has more replay value than Kendrick, though. Sounds like y'all are on the same page. Maybe we need to put a poll up. And I'm sure when we put the polls up, all the Kendrick fans are going to come out the woodwork. Jay Short says, Kendrick's songs they play are humble and swimming pools.
That sounds like top 40 shit.
Hey, it is what it is. You wanted to talk about Lupe Fiasco's tweet. Do you have the tweet? Because I don't have it in the showrunner.
I do.
Pull the
Because
tweet up.
I'm going to pull it up because I thought it was very, very interesting.
Michael Williams with the super chat says, Kendrick collab with Jay, Game, Cole, and Push. So I don't buy that.
Hold on, what did he say? He's right about that. Hold on, when did he with Cole? Jay was on a remix.
Before. No, he was on. This is on Born Center.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Give me 1 second.
No, go ahead. I'll get to this other super chat from Willard Winston. He says, big up, fellas. On a new school tip, how'd y'all feel about that little baby right now? I'm a huge fan when he came out, but he's starting to get repetitive. Are you speaking about the little baby in DJ Khaled and Drake record? Yeah, it's kind of dry. And it's funny, man. I was talking to a friend of mine when we were talking about artists that kind of bubbled and kind of built up their own base from an underground level that cross over and go mainstream. I think that Lil Baby no longer belongs to the audience that made him. And unfortunately, I'm looking forward to talking about this Khaled album too, because I always have a field day with those albums. But
You did.
but unfortunately, anybody that starts working with Khaled, how do I say this? You lose a little bit of cool. And I say that respectfully, like as far as like as an artist, as an underground artist, it's like, okay, well, you've made it over there. Now I got a new artist that I like this on the come up. You're no longer on the come up when you start working with Khaled repeatedly. And I think that
you done made it. Yeah, you made it.
yeah,
You
I
made
mean,
it.
but you've made it to a point now where your fans ain't fucking with it. That's the part.
Like Future on I Got the Keys.
Yeah, but see, Future does a really good balance. He'll come back.
Yeah, he does.
You know,
Well, he's toxic. He comes back because he's toxic.
Mm-hmm. So the thing is, man, this new Lil Baby and Drake record, it's a nothing burger, man. Did you see the clip where Khaled was out here pumping up the Drake hook like it was like the greatest hook ever? He was talking to Timbaland. He's like, man, it's genius how he does this. He gonna be he dancing and stuff. Man, all he did was recreate the damn Bee Gees "Staying Alive" hook, man. Cut it out. Like, stop selling us You know what I mean? Like, we got ears, man. You can't sell us these magic beans, my nigga. Like, if you want to make great music, make the great music and let it speak for itself. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't like that Guru tweet. Like, if the J verse is what it is, let it be what it is, man. You're
Don't
not
be
gonna sit
that.
here and keep selling people magic beans, and we're gonna sit here and think the shit's greater than it actually is just because you hyped it up. Stop it. Like, he does
You
that with everything. And I say this respectfully, man. Like, would you buy anything that DJ Khaled hyped up? He hypes up everything.
Yes, he does.
If he sit there and telling you, yo, this soap, man, it's the greatest soap ever, now, are you gonna believe that?
So you
But I'm
you're,
just saying, I'm just being
no, no,
real,
no, no. I
man.
get what you're saying.
Niggas know this song is trash. I forgot the song was even came out. Nobody even said anything about it the whole time. But thank you for
No,
mentioning it, Willard Winston, because it was supposed to be a part of the show. But
it
go
was.
ahead.
It was. So I mean, first, well, to the actual little baby comment, you know, little baby's my turn
Mm-hmm.
actually came out a couple of months before we started doing this podcast, and I've been singing his praises for quite some time. But also, the reality of the matter is that my turn came out in January of 2020. It's August of 2022. We don't have any sort of follow up. I don't know who Lil Baby is at this point as an MC or as an artist or where he's going because he really hasn't established or solidified that. I'm going to tell you, I first got really like onto him. Like when I was like, no, he rapping. He ain't just ATL mumble rapping to give it some stereotypical phraseology. And that was on Water off of Schoolboy Q's Crash Talk. I'm like, nah, like he's
Yeah.
snapping. I think that's 2018, you
Yeah.
know? So,
He
and
was
so,
grinding then.
yeah, he was grinding then. The last 2 years have been about the limelight. I haven't seen much grime. I've heard even less work outside of 24K Jacket off of Gunna's album. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, I like him a lot. Mike has said he prefers Savage. I say I prefer Baby. I
I
would have to
prefer
take
Gunna
Savage.
of the
I would
two.
have to take, but I would have to take Savage right now just because, well, I've been hearing Savage for the last 2 years. Savage been putting in work. Savage has put out a material. Savage is all over everything. I hear Lil Baby here and there, like maybe. And so it's like, I still don't totally know who he is yet, but I like him. You know what I mean? I want to hear what he's going to do with it. You
Jay,
know?
Jay Short says Kendrick is Kyrie. Game is Drew Holiday. Give me Drew. What? That was such a weird comparison. KD says, y'all remember when the Game went at Lil Durk? Jeez, I forgot about that. Game is gone at everybody. Nobody likes Game. Except for
Competitive
us
sport,
fans.
nobody likes Game. No, nobody likes Game.
Man. Hold on, let me get to this other super chat. Man, this Bitcoin spam is crazy.
I
LP
already
with the
took it
super
out.
chat says, if Khaled hyped this show, I'd move to Rap Roundtable. That's real, man.
Hold
Listen,
on, shout
listen,
out to
listen.
Rap Roundtable.
Shout out
We
to
like
Rap
Rap
Roundtable.
Roundtable.
I love Rap
Yeah.
Roundtable, and I saw that Punch from TDE retweeted one of their shows. So shout out to them. Got love for them.
Oh, he
Need to holler
did?
at
No,
y'all.
that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I like that they're. No, I like that they're bubbling too. You know, shout out to Sin and Jarv and the crew.
Yeah, definitely. But no, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree with that one point though. Don't get behind my product because nobody believes you, man. Like, and that's a
Yeah.
dangerous place to be. There's a balance when it comes to using your platform and promoting and over promoting to a point where it's like, yeah, this nigga's gonna endorse anything. You know what I mean? I get that vibe from Khaled, where it's like,
No, you want to know?
if you give
wanna
him a
know,
check, he's gonna say anything is the greatest. Oh man,
You know
this is
when I
the
was like-
greatest soda ever.
You know when there was like 10% of me left that was still buying in, but I like jumped out the window. It was the whole sorry not sorry thing when he had them on the phone talking to each other. I was like, now you and I know, it's like there's no way. You and I were talking about it. We are like, there's no way this song's any good. You and I knew it was like this song's. First of all, it's like it's them two on it, so we already know it's a 5 or a 6.
Listen, until proven otherwise, I'm gonna call this Khaled album the Magic Beans. The Magic Beans album is on the way, man.
Got some magic beans out back
He
for you, my
sat
nigga.
here and hyped up this Drake hook like it was the greatest hook ever, and you just took the BG shit. Cut out of here. Get out of here, man.
What they say on that interlude on Southern Playalistic where you're like 24 karat white folks from Bankhead, Buckhead. That's
Right.
Sell
Like,
you
dude.
anything.
Like, who's buying it? Like, I don't think there's anybody that is buying it, man. Mad Max in the super chat says, "Lil Baby, more media hype, real fan." I'm sorry, Lil Baby, more media hype, real fan hype. I like him. He reminds me of Mace with the faster flow, but he's supposed to be running the game. He's not taking over, and that's an
He's
interesting
not.
thing.
So that was my
Yeah.
thing. Is that well? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I
I'm
was
sorry,
just
go
gonna
ahead.
say it's an interesting thing that happens when guys come from the underground and then they get that notoriety and they stop the work that they've been doing that got them there. We saw that with the Migos. There was a point where the
No.
Migos
So
were
I'm gonna tell you
releasing
something. Even to
shit
speak
over
to
and
your
over.
well, I'm gonna speak to your Savage point. It's like well, around the same time that him and Baby was bubbling, like right around the time when this pandemic stuff hadn't quite bubbled yet. It's like when me and my people we was going outside, I would see Savage and his people outside. Like I was outside of Allure one night a couple Decembers ago, and Savage literally like ran into me, like literally. Like I ain't even gonna tell you the whole situation that's going on because the game is to be sold, not to be told. But my man had to grab me because he was in a rush about something. You feel me? Because I felt a certain type of way about him running into me, but at least he was live on set. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like, no, I ain't seen Lil Baby like I've heard.
Jay
But I
Shore
ain't
with the
seen,
super
and I
chat.
haven't heard much. I haven't seen him in the city. I haven't heard much music, and that's not to say he's not outside. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just speaking to what I know and what I see. It's like, no, I didn't literally bumped into Savage and his crew, like at the spot. He really out here putting in work. He really in the city. You know what I'm saying? And so when you like, I prefer Savage. It's like, well, shit. When I'm in the club and Running is coming on, and Lil Baby don't have no new record, and I prefer Savage too. Shit.
I mean, listen, you got to feed the streets, and I think that Megan, I would give that same take on her too. Like, I think that the core records that got her to where she is, she needs to feed that audience that propelled her to this point. It's, you know,
Yes.
it's cool when you the star and you doing, you know what I'm saying, these endorsements, you getting all these deals thrown at you. Do your mainstream stuff, but you also gonna need some street stuff to be able to keep your base happy. And they leave that part of it out.
Hey, real talk, Texas is big enough that Megan can go local and eat forever.
Of course.
And I think she should really think about doing that. She can forever be a Texas legend and always eat. Like, I'm gonna say this again. You know, the money, the power, the fame, the name, it's so corruptible. You really got to start thinking about what you want for like the long term, because she can be big in Texas forever.
Right. No, you're right. Jay Short with the
Texas
super
is
chat.
big.
Jay Short says, Khaled is not for us, y'all. He's a parody. He got Jay-Z on this album. We're going to listen to it. Ryan Gillum says, Crit took over One Train. K-Dot was on that record. It's true. I like K-Dot's verse on there, though. I can't even lie. Like, I think One Train's an interesting record because you could tell that Crit was there to back clean up. And he had the longer verse. They kind of were fitting everybody on there. Yellow Wolf was bubbling at that time, but I really don't know why he was on there. But that's an interesting record. Very interesting record.
Right.
You want to talk about this Lupe tweet?
Yeah.
And your feelings on it.
Talk about it.
Go ahead.
Look, it was in the context of a conversation, but this was the part of it that I caught.
I think Ryan Gillum retweeted it for us and might have tagged you in it too. So shout out to Ryan.
Right.
Always keeping us aware.
In short, he was going back and forth with somebody and, you know, talking from the perspective of Shakespeare, but this is what he said. And I found it to be kind of striking because of who it came from and how he gets revered. He said, I don't compete with rappers. I compete with Shakespeare. He's the actual final boss fight. And I pattern some of my work on his tone and execution. What he talking about? You see what I'm saying about how, like, this is why I be funny. Like, people like, oh, Coop like the tough talk. He like the gangster rappers. He like guys like Pusha T. I know the fuck those guys are. They don't say shit like this. You feel me?
Well, break
What
down to the
about,
people
I
what
know I
problem
want
you have with
Lupe's
this.
fans to come out here and tell me what about his tone and execution speaks to Shakespeare, because this is exactly what I tweeted him back, and this is my first time tweeting him. I said, really? I said, not Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, or W.E.B. Du Bois. Shaking my head. I thought you knew better than to do that out here. Why is this black man who y'all revere so much as a writer and a train of thought thinker and an intellectual and all the talents that he has and the things that he does revert back to a way that a white man did things in a time that he knows nothing about, in a racist ass time that he knows nothing about?
I never thought of this. I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
Please, I want somebody to explain it to me.
Is it possible that Shakespeare may have had some black ghostwriters that weren't getting credit in those days? Is that a possibility? Have we ever heard of any theories like that?
Only Shakespeare ghostwriting I've heard is it King Henry, I think the 7th or the 8th might have been the 8th. What is it, King Henry the 8th? They say might have been him. But what I'm saying
LP says Shakespeare ain't got no rewind in his catalog.
Listen to what we're saying. We got this late 30s black man coming out of Chicago.
He's 40.
Talking about, I don't compete with rappers, I compete with Shakespeare. No. Fuck rappers. Why are you going all the way to Shakespeare and skipping over Langston Hughes, W.E.B. Du Bois, Toni Morrison, James Baldwin? Isn't his rhetoric and style of writing more in the vein of what they do? Am I right or am I wrong? What people have been telling me about him. You feel what I'm saying about how I don't be feeling these dudes? This is why they do shit like this. I'm fighting Shakespeare. Shut up with that funky ass shit.
I got a response to that.
No, because he be like, no. They be letting these niggas gas them up and get into these little stupid ass conversations. And it's like, nah, fam. Since everybody's told me how great you were, since I done gave you your props, since lyrically you're beyond Rakim and Nas in their minds, let's have this Toni Morrison, Langston Hughes, James Baldwin, W.E.B. Du Bois conversation. Since you're such a black intellectual, why aren't you educating these people on those people? Why are you going to Shakespeare?
Maybe those weren't his
anything
influence.
wrong with Shakespeare, but do you see all the problematic things that come with these conscious guys that know a lot and talk so well and speak so well, and they're so deep and they express and explore so many concepts and then they hop up on Twitter and it's like, I'm fighting Shakespeare. Shut the fuck up with that shit. Shut the fuck up with that I'm fighting Shakespeare shit. Some shit I don't want to hear a black man saying in 2022 while we're still oppressed, while he's calling himself enlightened and everybody treating him like enlightened. I'm fighting Shakespeare. He's the final fight boss. I'm like, that is some weak ass shit if I heard it today.
LP
and he won't be replying because he knew what he did. Stop letting these suckers sucker you into this sucker shit.
LP with the super chat says Shakespeare ain't got a rewind in his catalog.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not competing with rappers. It's like, I can't tell. You ain't made no damn Illmatic or Paid in Full.
Mad Max with the super chat says, Coop, I think he was just talking about how Shakespeare is considered the GOAT writer. Also, Shakespeare was
not the GOAT writer.
He said also Shakespeare was black. White people changed his image.
First of all, you have no proof of that.
I'm going to have to look into this.
No. See, here's what I'm saying when you have no proof of that. I've brought this up before. Mm-hmm. The disciple Peter's from the land of Galilee.
Right.
The land of Galilee is in Syria. Peter was a fisherman, which means he spent a lot of days out in the sun on the water. No. Peter got some color to him. We know that for a fact because geographically you can go to where he's from and go to his job. No, color. You don't have no proof about Shakespeare. I get tired of people talking out of the side of their neck when they don't have facts. You don't have facts. And even if Shakespeare was black, let's say that he was. Why is that old black motherfucker the standard when there's Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, and W.E.B. Du Bois has black writers in the last 100 years? You and I were just on the phone with Denham, who is a 34-year-old black woman from the Bronx that is one of our writers now. She brought up Toni Morrison. The gentleman, who is a 40-year-old white man that I do the podcast with, Mirror Music, is an English teacher. I've known him since he is 15 years old. He is one of the most brilliant minds that I've ever known. He thinks Toni Morrison is the greatest writer of all time. Don't bring me the Shakespeare shit. You see, you can bring that Shakespeare shit to people who are not in the academic world and who are not well read and well versed. But for all of us who are black and well read and well versed like that, we don't be running around here singing this Shakespeare shit. I got a white dude that I've known since I was 15 that thinks Toni Morrison is the GOAT.
Mad Max with the super chat says, no white man is writing Othello the way that Othello is written, with the Caucasian jealous of the black man at that. Okay.
I mean, black people don't commit suicide. Romeo and Juliet. All right. I'm just
Let
going to
me
say
ask you this, man.
Black people don't be going out committing dual suicides.
Not the dual. All right, this is what I was going to ask you. So you think that there's no possible way that he was influenced by Shakespeare, and you feel like that he was actually influenced by writers like a Langston Hughes and Toni Morrison and didn't disclose it? Because I kind of felt like that when you remember he messed up Scenario when he was performing at the Tribe tribute on VH1? And so his response to that, other than just saying, messed up, whatever, he said, yeah, I didn't grow up on Tribe, man. I grew up listening to 8 Ball MJG or something like that.
We call that narcissistic where I'm from.
So you feel like this is a similar thing when it comes to
narcissistic. It's narcissistic. It's somebody that hasn't even made a top 50 all-time rap album talking about he don't compete with rappers and he's fighting Shakespeare. It's like, how about you try to fight? Like, you're not even Toni Morrison. Like, the people that I'm naming, it's like you're not at that level. What are you talking about?
He's a great writer. He's a great
writer, but I mean, it's like, let's start auditing things and put things in proper places and spaces. Like, the people that I named, you are not. So why are you going to Shakespeare? It's like, why don't you deal with the last 100 years of black writing and try matching some of that? You're no Langston Hughes as a writer. Mike, do you honestly think that he is James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, W.E.B. Du Bois, or Langston Hughes as a writer? Legitimately.
I think where my hang up on this comes is the fact that something that LP said, probably jokingly, but he was saying that Shakespeare doesn't have a rewind in his catalog. So it's like, you say you don't compete with rappers. There's been a lot of great rap written in history, and a lot of that wasn't written by you. And you're not really the top of the top when it comes to that part of it either. So, I love Mural.
Narcissistic.
I think Mural's brilliant, but to say you're not competing with rappers and there's a whole nother level and a whole nother boss, it's like, okay, well, Lyrics of Fury, you haven't really touched. You haven't really touched a rewind, in my opinion. And maybe his fans feel different, but to act like rappers are beneath him. And we're talking about rappers, period, all time. I could see if he was saying this about people in his current class. There's been so much great stuff written. I mean, you got what Raz Kaz did with Nature of the Threat. Like, these are great written songs, so I don't like the discounting of rap's written history in that way.
This is what I keep trying to say. Low key, that's who all these guys like be acting like. I told you, Mike, they be on some low key holier than thou shit. Like, most do this too. Talib do this too. They all do it. It's like those dudes who are well read, because I hate to say it, they evolve and deal with a culture of black men who are not as well read as them. And so in their minds, over a course of time, they become narcissistic, and it elevates their status until somebody is well read and comes around. It's like, nigga, what the fuck are you talking about? You feel what I'm saying? Because sometimes you got to talk to them that way. It's like, no, we still all from the same place, fam. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because, like, too many people don't be doing that with them dudes. They don't audit them and check them. It just, he's conscious and he's well-read and he knows. No, he don't be knowing what the fuck he talking about. You're elevating and inflating his sense of self, and then you get narcissistic-ass statements like this. I don't compete with rappers. Well, you should, because you haven't really made a bona fide classic yet.
Mad Max in the super chat says,
try competing with rappers. How about you try competing with the guy on the wall? Like, content-wise, you're blowing the guy out the wall, off the map, but you can't make a fucking song like him to save your life, now can you?
Mad Max with the super chat says, yes, he said, yes, he was. They described him as a crow, which was back then in the 1500s, was a word that meant dark skin. So maybe Lupe Fiasco is of the mindset of Mad Max. I'm not saying Mad Max is wrong. I need to go do more research on the subject. Maybe Lupe feels that Shakespeare is black as well. Is that a
I'm not giving out
possibility?
hall passes to that, because here's another thing. If you just want to piggyback off of it, well, Shakespeare's blackness or whiteness is shrouded in something. W.E.B. Du Bois' blackness isn't shrouded in anything. Langston Hughes' blackness isn't shrouded in anything. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, no, there's plenty other black authors and geniuses that he could have went to. He went somewhere murky when there's genius right in front of you.
Yeah.
I'm not hitting out hall passes. Y'all told me that he was this, that, and the other. And I keep saying, like, nah, he ain't that. He just like the rest of them dudes, and he think he righteous. And I'm not saying, like, he does more work in the community, most of these guys that I'm talking about, but this be that bullshit that I'm talking about, Mike. And they be like, oh, Coop, why you rather listen to Dope Boy rap? At least the Dope Boys be consistent. They be consistent with what they talking about. This motherfucker trying to talk about some Shakespeare and how he don't compete with rappers. Stop that corny ass shit, fam.
You really ain't feeling this, because when you sent me the tweet,
I'm not feeling it because it's like, who is he? Who is he? Like, for real, who is he in hip hop terms to be talking about something? I don't compete with rappers. I'm competing with Shakespeare. Who are you, nigga?
The Cool is a really good album.
The Cool is a great album. It's his best album to me. It's great.
Where do you put The Cool all time?
The Cool on a good list is going to be between 50 to 100 all time. On a good list. Like, on a list that's kind to him.
Okay.
So he could, like, you know, like, we just got done celebrating the Purple Tape. He got some Purple Tapes on Enter the Wu-Tang. Did I miss something? Did he make It Was Written or Illmatic or Paid in Full or Follow the Leader? I'm sorry, did I miss it?
I would love for you and Lupe.
It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Maybe Reasonable Doubt. Last time I checked, he has no albums even comparable to. I don't compete with rappers. You should. We like you too.
Cool. I would love for you and Lupe to have a cool-headed debate.
These dudes don't be wanting that type of smoke with me because I'm not the type of dude to entertain they bullshit. That's why we don't even get no interviews. Like, no, it's like kick that academic bullshit to somebody that didn't read the same books as you.
But again, I think it would be very. I think you both would learn from each other.
No, he gonna learn from me. He gonna learn to stop saying this bullshit to these fans who don't know. You should read Hamlet. Then he ain't about to learn shit from reading Hamlet.
Brian with
read
the
The
super
Souls
chat.
of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois. That's what you should be telling these black gentlemen on Twitter. Read The Souls of Black Folks by W.E.B. Du Bois.
Well, I would like to. You know what?
Read Hamlet. Fuck out of here with that.
Well,
Hamlet
I would
ain't
like
never
to
did
get
shit for the black community ever. How about that?
I would love to get his opinion on, you know, that piece of writing that you're speaking about. I mean, maybe he's just looking at it from a just raw writing standpoint as opposed to a cultural standpoint.
Culturally, he wasn't around in the 1500s. The stuff that Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, W.E.B. Du Bois are speaking to, he's had to live. He knows nothing about Shakespeare's life other than what he's read. These are black authors who are geniuses. These are black authors who are geniuses that have spoken to life experiences that he's had to experience, and he just jumped over them talking about, you should read Hamlet then. No, he's just not that dude that y'all think he is. And I'm just trying to put it out to you. These motherfuckers be flaky as hell.
Can he not just possibly just appreciate it from a creative writing standpoint?
I have Shakespeare books sitting on my bookshelf upstairs. I appreciate it too. How often you hear me pulling up in this hip-hop space talking about some Shakespeare?
Brian with the super chat says CC2 highlights Eminem's issue. He's so big that he tries to appease his entire fandom instead of actually making dope music. It's a problem that 99% of rappers never had. It's a problem that you're seeing Drake have now. You know, I agree with that. But also, at least with Drake, since he's the other example, we can go back to a time where he was able to make a certain type of music that hip-hop gravitated to. I don't think that we even have that when it comes to him. Even at his height, he was always making music appeasing to that fandom audience you speak of. Mad Max with the super chat says, well, Mike, Lupe thinks that Shakespeare is black. I think that also. Shakespeare, to be or not to be line was great. Rap like bar was a great rap like bar. That is the question. Jay Short with the super chat says, we got to stop this graduating from hip hop thing. I agree with you, Jay Short. And you know where I think that started?
Actually, a preposition, and it's not a good question. It's not a good question. To be or
I
not to
think
be, that is the question. What are you asking exactly? That's a preposition. Like, it's not even a real fucking question.
You know where I think that graduating
people be
from
trying to
hip
sprinkle
hop.
bullshit on top of it.
Cool,
Like,
cool. You know where I think that graduating from hip hop thing started from? And correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like that was Andre 3000. Am I wrong?
yes, yes, they be trying to make it seem like it's like, well,
Yeah.
I'm being. Here's the thing about it, and I've said this to you before. I'm 40 right now. At 50 years old, I'm not going to be sitting in this basement talking about hip hop on this podcast. But hip hop's always going to be a part of my life because it always has been, and I'm never about to take hip hop out of my life because what it's done for me. And it just seems like for some of these guys, and it always tends to be the guys that get coined as the conscious rappers, when they acquire a certain type of money and a certain type of fame, they try to make it seem like hip hop doesn't matter as much. When you're saying hip hop doesn't matter as much, you're saying black culture doesn't matter as much. You all don't have any proof that Shakespeare is black. We got proof that Toni Morrison is black. Why are not reinforcing the writers, the motifs, the archetypes, and the experiences that we know for certain happened? Lupe don't know shit about Hamlet.
Well, I want to piggyback off something you said.
You want to know what he should know about? He should know about The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner, because most of his shit is boring like that. Right, it's classic and it's long and it's boring. Be more entertaining as a rapper before you talk about you don't compete with rappers.
Well, I want to piggyback off something you said. And it kind of goes along the lines of graduating from hip hop, right? It's literally forgetting where you came from. And you say this about Andre all the time. It's like, regardless of how you feel about rap or inspiration and this and that, you have to at least give rap the credit that it got you to the notoriety that you're at today. And you should respect that. And you should respect the craft, regardless of where it's going and where you're at with it, on those terms alone. We wouldn't know who Andre 3000 was if it wasn't for rap. We don't go to him because of his great guitar playing skills or his vocal ranges. We don't. He's a great songwriter, and I think that Love Below not exposes, but it shows basically that he's one of the best songwriters hip hop's had. And I only say that in a vacuum because we only got one album. But you can see the ability and the skill set and all of that. Even with that being said, we recognize him as a great rapper, not songwriter. And songwriters write for others. So even his songwriting skill set or resume is just limited. Too limited to even rank anything. Ray Rims with the super chat says, who's your favorite spoken word artist of all time? Okay, we'll get to that. What were you going to say, Coop? I don't want to lose your train of thought.
No, I want you to think about all the guys who are bigger legends than Lupe have stayed 10 toes down with hip hop and never said nothing like this.
Yeah.
We just talked about one of them. We just talked about two of them, Dr. Dre and Snoop. You feel what I'm saying? You'll never hear Dr. Dre or Snoop acting like they're bigger than hip hop or saying, because they understand everything that hip hop has done for them and they continue to feed back into it continuously.
Yeah.
For whatever, like the worst thing that we can say about Dr. Dre is that he may not be number one on our list. Right. Oh, but he gonna be high up on our list because he's always given back to this culture and contributed musically at the highest level. Yeah. So when somebody comes along who has not contributed at the highest level, somebody who is not even in our all-time greatest MC conversation, and they start espousing rhetoric about Shakespeare, and their moniker in this business is as an intellectual, as an academic. No, I have the right to question why you're bringing up Shakespeare from 500, 600, 700 years ago and not bringing up these genius black authors from 100 years ago, because technically you're the person that's supposed to be doing that. This is the type of comment that if Rick Ross or T.I. makes it, I'm not going to pay it any mind.
007 with the super chat says, Peace Kings. Can't wait to hear Jay-Z's greatest verse on this Khaled album. It's going to set the record straight for all those Nas fans. Hardly. He's trolling.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, you said a lot, and I feel where you're coming from. And as a writer yourself, I feel your frustration because I think I think, it's funny. We both kind of took different things from it. You took the writer aspect of it, and I took the rapper aspect of it. And I'm with Jay Short in this whole notion that there's a higher level um, than rap, basically. And, rap is beneath me, for lack of a better term. And
Yeah,
it's like,
hold on.
we
These
can't.
dudes were not talking this way when they were broke and coming out of the projects and needed rap to take them to these places. Like
Rap took you
Lupe,
everywhere.
like Lupe was talking about this painting that he just painted and what it was worth. Hey, guess what? You ain't have the finances or the money to create a piece like that without rap.
Yeah. I mean, even if we go with somebody who's a mega star, and I know people are tripping on him right now, but he'll be back, Will Smith. Rap got Will Smith to where he is.
Will Smith still raps.
Yeah.
He'll still come out and rap because he knows.
Rap got Queen Latifah where she is.
Because she knows.
Rap MC got LL Cool J, Ice Cube.
Never forget.
These people are icons because of rap.
They never forget.
And they're never above rap music.
They're never above rap music. Ice Cube's on Real Nigga Roll Call on Lil Jon and the East Side Boys album. Yeah. Like, his career was pretty much over by then. He was Ice Cube. Are we there yet, Ice Cube? And he's like, no, you can get these bars. You can get this work.
Yeah.
Love this shit. Yeah. This shit provided me everything that I ever had. Cube Vision exists because America's Most Wanted and Death Certificate and Straight Outta Compton exists.
Yeah. LP says they're supposed to be elevating hip-hop, not leaving it. Again, man, I think that...
So
I don't want to say Lauren, but I feel like, that notion of there's a bigger world than hip-hop and I'm bigger than hip-hop to a certain extent, I feel like that starts with The Love Below. I could be wrong.
No, Mike, there is a bigger world than hip-hop, and you should take hip-hop with you since it gave you the ability to go see that bigger world.
No, that's real. Double Down says he was asked about the line with Shakespeare reference, and he said it's Shakespeare. Y'all running with narratives without knowing the context. What he said. No,
I'm going with context. What he said. He said, I don't compete with rappers. I compete with Shakespeare. That's word for word. I'm not running with anything. It's right here on Twitter. He's the actual final boss fight. And I patterned some of my work on his tone and execution. I'm not pulling that from somewhere. That's him on Twitter one day ago. It's right there. Ain't nothing to pull from or stretch. I don't compete with rappers. Yeah. That seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it? There's nothing to infer or gauge between. There's no lines to say, I don't compete with rappers. I compete with Shakespeare. As in, I'm past all of y'all. I'm here in a rare canonized era of writers. Mm-hmm. But I don't have no Paid in Full or Illmatic or Purple Tape or Aquemini. I don't even have a B or a college dropout out of my own city. But I'm on Shakespeare level. And y'all just going to keep on letting these people do it. I told you, I let Andre do it. I was one of those guys that's like, no, it's all good. He's one of the greatest rappers ever. He's going to rap for us one day. And you just wait till he releases his solo album and raps for us and shows that he's the greatest artist ever. Mm-hmm. And again, I done been that fool before. I just ain't going to be a fool no more.
And again, I have no problem with people doing whatever they want to do. I think the thing with Andre that makes it problematic is that mentality helped elevate where people had him as a rapper. Because I remember when Aquemini was out, I was telling niggas like, yo, he's one of the best rappers in the game, yada, yada. He wasn't in no top 10 conversations then. People didn't start all that top 5, top 10 Andre shit until he basically neglected rap.
Rapping.
Yeah.
Right. When he stopped rapping as often,
that's when that shit happened.
He's so great. He's so brilliant.
And that's the problem. Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Right. So what we got to do is tell people that we're above rap and they're going to put us at the top of the rap list.
Or tell people we're into other things right now. I want to act. I want to sing. Right. That's going to get our rap catalog and our rap criteria and our rap profile elevated.
Yeah, because people just get to imagine the records that you would make as opposed to being able to have actual real tangible records that you made.
Can you imagine if he was rapping on She Lives in My Lap instead of singing? It's like, yeah, I could, except for guess what? He didn't.
Yeah, imagine if he had a song with 3 verses. It would be crazy.
Right. Like when everybody, and this is what I'm saying.
It doesn't exist.
I'm being respectful about it. People in here have been like, well, you guys talk about Rakim and Nas, and even Nas says, Lupe's the one that's picked up the torch. And I'm like, well, yeah, he's picked up the torch. That doesn't mean the torch is hanging as high. Because when Nas took the torch from Rakim, it's like, well, Rakim gave us Paid in Full and Follow the Leader to start off. Well, Nas gave us Illmatic and It Was Written. You think Food and Liquor and The Cool is up to those type of standards?
Dumb It Down says, but you're mad that he didn't mention Toni Morrison or black authors with the line wasn't referring to anyone but Shakespeare. You're trashing him for explaining. Well, I guess one would ask why,
Well, why is he explaining that the only person that he competes with is Shakespeare? You get me? See, you heard what he said. I don't compete with rappers. I compete with Shakespeare. He didn't mention anybody else. He had time and space and opportunity to mention other authors. Well, it's not just Shakespeare he had time to audit that. This is from a day ago. He had time to come back out and clean this up if he wanted to. That's why I kind of sat on it like, oh, you really going to do that? Because it's like, well, you've had time to think about your statement too. Oh, you're standing on it. That's cool.
We still talking about Shakespeare's material from the 1400s. That shit got legs, yo. Jay Short with the super chat says, rap has been the soundtrack to the greatest struggle in modern history, defining masculinity, good or bad, worldwide for the last 2 generations. Generated more money than countries, GDP. Yet you're bigger, shaking my head.
Hold on. In real talk, Shakespeare ain't even from here. Shakespeare ain't from here. Is Shakespeare from America? Where's Shakespeare from? So you talking about a writer from over there.
I love the people in the chat talking about what's Shakespeare's best diss record. You guys are hilarious, man.
No, I mean, you get what I'm saying about how these rap dudes be acting? It's like, can't nobody respect that? I'm just keeping this shit funky. I don't know. I'm just a grown man. I don't know how else to be. It's like, I be seeing dudes do shaky stuff, and it's like, nah, we grown men, fam. That's shaky. It's like, you're a black man, you're an academic, you're an intellectual. Well, let me tell you how this shit go if you didn't know how it go. We don't talk about some white man, maybe black man from 600 years ago that don't even from this fucking country. Like, we wasn't even here yet when he was writing the shit. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, if you're the black intellectual that you are, you're going to take this as a challenge. And next time you're going to be talking some Toni Morrison. And next time you're going to be talking some W.E.B. Du Bois, some James Baldwin, some Langston Hughes.
Well, you know what? Again, I think we kind of differ.
Again, you can even go Invisible Man on me. Go Invisible Man on me. Truthfully, his writing style is very Ralph Ellison, even though Ralph Ellison only gave us 2 novels and 1 good one. If you want to talk about his actual writing style and you really want to start digging off into this shit. It ain't Shakespeare. There's nothing about his writing to Shakespeare, okay? I don't know who the fuck told him that or gassed him up.
I love the Beastie Boys. Somebody asked if we fuck with
There's nothing about his writing to Shakespeare-like.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get to this super chat. Because things are kind of like stalled.
Like, you're not the first rapper to ask questions on record. It's been happening forever.
Mad Max to the super chat says, I mean, Nas has been said to be the modern day Shakespeare. So Lupe
he's called himself the modern day the modern day Langston Hughes. He's even given reference.
So Lupe
to that.
was bugging, but LOL, we not finna just slander Shakespeare.
I'm not slandering Shakespeare. I'm putting people up high who he should be putting up high with his platform. Right. That's my whole point. It's like, you got this platform and you doing Shakespeare, not Tony, not W.E.B., not James Baldwin, not Langston Hughes. I thought you was that dude, though. Y'all told me he was that dude. I just want to know.
Clayton Asleep says, it sounds like gibberish meant to intrigue people who don't know any better. LOL.
Thank you. That's my whole point. You sitting up here feeding the sheep who don't know any better when somebody who is well-read and academic pulls up and tries to audit it. You want trying to make it seem like I'm the one at the problem. It's like, nah, fam. Come deal with somebody on your level. Come deal with somebody on your level and talk that shit.
Lupe fans are going to kill you for this.
Oh, this is the thing that pisses me off about black men. Black men we all love it. We all love to be the smartest men in the room.
I think that's a man thing in general. I don't want to just put that on black men.
I be seeing white dudes be humble when I be in the room sometimes. They know who Coop is.
Well, I mean, look at white men historically. I don't think
white men historically manipulate.
I think that's a man thing.
After they step out the room. It's not what they do to you in the room. It's what they do to you outside of the room. Saying when you step into that room. Like, Twitter is a room. And it's a room and it's a space. And Lupe is a highly intelligent and articulate guy. So when he is saying the things that he is saying, it's going to hold a different weight. and I don't like how he did it because that ain't how we slinging the weight around here. And if that nigga didn't know, now he does. Like I told you, I'm not here to be no rapper's friends. I'm not here to hand out no hall passes. It's like, no, if you're the guy that people say that you are, James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Toni Morrison, W.E.B. Du Bois, not Shakespeare, unless you're not that guy. Because I said that you weren't that guy, and everybody looked at me like I was crazy, and your motherfucking ass is up here talking Shakespeare. Now, either I'm right and you're not that guy, or you're going to be that guy. At least when I pull up, because they said you was that guy.
The Carlo with the super chat says, Coop don't like nobody that didn't make Death Row East.
First of all, Death Row East is a classic.
Oh my god!
Death Row East is a classic.
On that note, man, we got to get up out of here. We didn't.
Great song.
We're like 3.5 hours in, man. Listen.
No, he needs to take this. You want to know what? I used to always feel a certain type of way when you would go at Obama early on. No, I'm serious. This is before the show. A lot of people don't know that Mike would say a lot of things about Obama early on that were factual, but because I was a black man, I was like, yo, Mike, you can't be saying it out loud. And you're like, well, I can't stop saying it, Coop, because it's true. And just because it's Obama doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to say it. The truth is the truth and the facts are the facts. All I'm doing is speaking proof to life and saying the truth is the truth and the facts are the facts. You all don't like it that I keep talking about Kendrick and Lupe and Talib and Mos and like those. I'm doing it for a reason though, because I'm just trying to get you to see some things that it's like, look at the shit that really be going on. It's like Mr. Disappear for 5 years and understand the tour started in Africa before it started here. But that's y'all's guy. He's not even thinking about y'all. He literally wanted to go to Africa first.
I think you're unfair to Mos Def when you talk about the Change Clothes video. Like that was 20 years ago.
No. You want to know the most. You want to know what? It's totally unfair with Mos because I'm gonna back up off the Mos thing. That's how I live that Lupe and that Kendrick shit holding though. Them dudes is
Jay Short the super chat says
they'll never pull up on. They won't pull up in a room of black men intelligent like me and talk the shit that they talk because they can't. You understand? And they know it, and I know it. They know it.
Jay Short with the super chat says, "You can't ask your record company to value your art when you don't. Lupe has the same mindset the execs do." That is interesting, man. I think that it takes the people in hip-hop to hold hip-hop high and not denigrate it when you already have record executives who look at hip-hop as whatever. Like, this isn't the real music. This is just the stuff that the young people are liking or whatever.
He's definitely jaded by the music business.
Yeah.
But this wasn't a music business statement. This was a chance for the academic and intellectual side of himself to represent the black community, and he chose to represent Shakespeare. I don't compete with rappers. I compete with Shakespeare.
Before we get out of here, I want to get the Ray Rim super chat. He asked you, since you spoke about poets, I asked about the top 5 poets. Like, who are your top 5 poets? And we can get up out of here.
I mean, when he's saying poets, what does he mean? Because like most poets are writers and vice versa.
Let's just say writers in general. And we'll put everybody in that collective writers category.
Well, I just brought up 4 of them because I'm 40 years old and I'm a black man and an academic and an intellectual. So when I'm bringing up James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Toni Morrison, W.E.B. Du Bois, well, it's coming from the place of being an educated black man that understands our plight and experiences here the last 150 years, bare minimum, that they have expressed through their writing that is still prevalent today.
Who's number 5?
So those 4, give me Tupac, since Lupe don't compete with rappers. Right. What about Tupac? You don't compete with Tupac? Okay, I got it. It's not that you sound narcissistic. It's just that you are when I frame it that way. You feel what I'm saying?
I think y'all should have a discussion. And I don't even want to say debate. I mean, a meeting of the minds and just talk about writing and the history of writing.
Tupac existed here as a writer, right? I want somebody here to tell me that the stuff that Tupac put down, that Lupe has better writing material than Tupac right now, since he don't compete with rappers. I think he forgot that Tupac was here.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well,
As a writer, you're not even Tupac. Like in a writing sphere, you're not Tupac. As a technical writer, he's not Tupac. You understand what I'm saying? As a technical writer, Lupe is not Tupac.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna try to set up this discussion, man. As long as everybody, you know what I'm saying, is just
disseminating
information.
I would love to hear. I would love to hear him juxtapose some of Shakespeare's best stuff for some of the stuff that I have for him, and I'd like for him to explain to me how he is competing with Shakespeare and not these other geniuses. And also, we're gonna bring up his stuff to see where his genius is at, since he's talking this way.
All right. Well, yeah. Like, how about we do this? We got 200 plus people in the room. Y'all go tweet out Lupe Fiasco and see if we can get this conversation
I challenge him to any
up.
Intellectual debate on any topic he wants to dance on, since he likes to misinform people.
Yeah, let's do it. Whenever, I think it'd be great. I mean, again, I don't want people
to dance about whatever, and we'll do it respectfully and calmly. I hope he's ready to get undressed, because I got a list of the tacky shit he done did. It's like, well, explain when you did this or said this then.
Well, you know, again, I don't want to become like a yelling match or whatever. Just a discussion about, you know, different, I guess, ideologies and, you know.
No, I mean, there ain't no ideology. It's like, you know, I mean, it's like, stop saying sucker shit that like other academics can like audit properly and like we'll be fine. But it's like, if you didn't say it, express what you meant when you said it. Like when you're saying you don't compete with rappers, it's like, well, what do you mean? You mean as a writer, you feel like you're above them and beyond them and light years ahead, so you have to go further back in time in order to find somebody to relate to, because that's the narcissistic way.
I think that's very problematic.
Yeah, that's the way that came off.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the part that's problematic to me. I don't really have a problem with, you know, the actual writers, the writer that he named and writers that he left off. That's his personal preference. But I think to put out the notion that you're above, you know, the great writers of this genre, I think that's a little bit out there.
I also brought up writers who have also inspired this genre. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Like all of those writers have influenced this genre that he, you know, quite frankly, got rich off of. Yeah. Like he got rich in this genre. Like he didn't get rich writing plays like Shakespeare did. You feel what I'm saying?
You're right. Yeah, save that for the playwrights. No, I feel
right. So it's like, it's like, okay, it's like, you got something like Midsummer Night's Dream? Like what? No, I don't think so. Where's your Romeo and Juliet, fam?
Well,
where's his love song? Like real talk. What's his best love song? Since he competing with Shakespeare, because Romeo and Juliet is considered to be the ultimate love story and the ultimate family and familial, you know, battle. It's like, what song you got like that? Like where I've been. What's been going on? You see, when you start auditing these dudes and this wild shit they say, they are literally held up so high intellectually in our community. People just will debate with them and not say anything and not be like, hey, nigga, that sounds crazy. Why don't you stop saying that?
Jordan House says Shakespeare gets quoted in rap all the time, though. He does. Well, we could go on and on. Let's get up out of here. We're going to holler at y'all next week. There's a lot going on next week. And, man, that was a great discussion.
I just don't be understanding it. It's like y'all told me he was like, I was like, oh, it's like for real. It's like, because he just pulled up talking about Shakespeare.
Why do y'all get Coop started on Lupe, man? I should have said, you know what, we shouldn't even have this discussion.
No, it's the Shakespeare thing, and I don't compete with rappers. The first thing I thought was, I don't compete with rappers. And then he went to Shakespeare and was like, Tupac. Insane.
All right, well, y'all have a great weekend. Great show. We're going to talk to y'all next week.